Chapter 260. The strange creature that Ling Xiao saw in the underground ocean had a majestic aura and was incomparably terrifying. At the very least, it had the strength of a supreme being. If it wasn't for the seal underground, Ling Xiao wouldn't have been able to come out alive. Because he left in a hurry, Ling Xiao didn't carefully investigate the seal underground. Now that he thought about it, perhaps it was the power of the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation. The ancient monk sat cross-legged in the 8 Treasure Lotus Pond of Virtue and Virtue. His head was lowered, and his face was filled with a compassionate expression. However, his temperament was extremely strange. Half of it was glowing with Buddhist light, while the other half was surging with demonic qi. He was tainted by the strange black fog, but there wasn't the slightest fluctuation of life on his body. To be able to remain intact for 10,000 years and be used as the eye of the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation by Jin Sei, this ancient monk's strength was definitely extremely terrifying. However, his origin made Ling Xiao very puzzled. 10,000 years ago, Ling Xiao was the #1 supreme being in the world. He had some understanding of almost all the supreme experts in this world, but he had never seen this ancient monk. However, this ancient monk's body was glowing, and his body was indestructible. The terrifying fluctuation was even stronger than Ling Xiao's previous life. This ancient monk is so powerful, but he's also been tainted by the strange black fog. In the long run, I'm afraid the seal left behind by the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation will be broken. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. Although the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation was powerful, this ancient monk was formed from the eye of the formation. If the ancient monk was completely tainted by the strange black fog and turned from a Buddha to a devil, the terrifying creature underground would probably really break the seal and come out. In the current 8 Desolation region, there might not even be a monarch realm expert, let alone a supreme being. Once that terrifying creature came out, the entire 8 Desolation region would probably be destroyed. The only thing I can do now is to move this ancient monk away. Although the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation's strength will be much weaker without the eye of the formation, it can still suppress that terrifying creature for 10 years at least. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Rather than waiting for the ancient monk to be tainted by the strange black fog and turn into a peerless devil, why not move it out of the eye of the formation and strengthen the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation again? At least it could suppress that terrifying creature for 10 years. And with a buffer of 10 years, perhaps Ling Xiao would be able to find a way to deal with that terrifying creature. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of determination. The 8 Desolation Devil Subduing Great Array was created by Ling Xiao, so he naturally knew how to remove the array core. Moreover, after 10,000 years, although the 8 Desolation Devil Subduing Great Array used the earth vein as its energy, it had also weakened significantly. Ling Xiao walked towards the ancient monk. His hands glowed faintly as he formed seals in the air. In an instant, he sent out 8 palms, landing on the heaven, earth, yin, yang, wind, thunder, volcano, and 8 directional divine seals. Boom! Suddenly, 8 resplendent rays of light shot out from the 8 Treasure Lotus Pond of Virtue and Virtue. They slowly intertwined in the air, and the ancient monk in the center was lifted up by a mass of golden light and floated up. Rise! A light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. His hands radiated with copious amounts of energy, wanting to move the ancient monk out of the 8 Treasures Lotus Pond. Rumble! But at this moment, an incomparably vast power, holy and evil intertwined, filled with life and death, erupted from the ancient monk's body. Ling Xiao could feel that the golden body of the ancient monk, which was originally filled with the aura of death, actually had a trace of vitality that was slowly recovering. Not good. Ling Xiao's expression changed as he felt a strong sense of danger. His body immediately turned into a ray of golden light and retreated in an instant. Boom! The ancient monk in front of him suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of divine light, one golden and one black, shot out, instantly exploding in the air. Buzz! Buzz! The air trembled slightly. Golden rays of light filled the air, holy and vast. At the same time, it was accompanied by an evil and dark power. The ancient monk stood up from the 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue. A vicissitude, ancient, mysterious, and vast fluctuation spread out, accompanied by a world-destroying evil aura. Righteousness and evil intertwined, light and darkness coexisted. At this moment, the ancient monk looked like a Buddha and demon that cultivated both righteousness and evil. He had awakened from his endless slumber. One of his eyes shone with a resplendent golden light, containing boundless benevolence, while the other was filled with an eerie demonic aura, emitting a crazy, bloodthirsty, world-destroying murderous intent. Such different auras appearing on the same person at the same time made one's scalp tingle, and one's entire body was filled with bone-chilling coldness. He stood there with an extraordinary look. The light in his eyes converged, and in the end, they were filled with deep confusion. Ling Xiao was also shocked by the scene in front of him. Previously, he was very sure that the ancient monk was indeed dead. His entire body was filled with a deathly aura, without any signs of life, and his primordial spirit had completely dissipated. But now, the ancient monk, the demonic Buddha, had actually come back to life. Life and death did not enter the cycle of reincarnation, and the cycle of life and death repeated itself. This concept of reincarnation made Ling Xiao's heart tremble. Because, even in his previous life, Ling Xiao did not understand the mystery of life and death. "Senior, who are you?" Ling Xiao stood in front of the demonic Buddha and asked carefully. "Who am I?" The demonic Buddha slowly opened his mouth. His voice was obscure, and a few strange syllables came out of his mouth. His eyes were filled with confusion. "Senior, do you know why you are here? Who put you here?" Ling Xiao asked softly. Although the demonic Buddha in front of him looked terrifyingly strong, Ling Xiao still wanted to try and find out the whereabouts of Jin Sei from him. "They're all dead. Gods are dead. Buddha is annihilated. Eternal sea of bitterness. 8 treasures of merit, only I am left." The demonic Buddha did not look at Ling Xiao. His voice was deep and filled with vicissitudes of life, containing a sense of sorrow. 2 lines of blood tears flowed down from his eyes. The kasaya on his body was very tattered, and the Buddhist light and demonic aura on his body had fused together. There was a faint, strange power bursting forth and gathering at his vitality, allowing him to come back from the dead and reappear in the world. Ling Xiao had no way to understand this strange change. However, the demonic Buddha did not seem to hear Ling Xiao's words at all. He stood there crying and laughing. His voice was sorrowful, and his blood-red eyes stared at the sky as he slowly walked out of the ancient palace. "Senior! Senior!" Ling Xiao shouted a few times, but the demonic Buddha did not seem to hear him. He walked out of the ancient palace with heavy steps, and his figure disappeared in front of Ling Xiao. Boom! Ling Xiao wanted to follow him out and ask him about it. He had too many doubts in his heart, but just as the demonic Buddha left, a strange black mist gushed out of the 8 treasures lotus merit pool. It was surging violently as if it was about to overflow. Not good. Chapter 261. Rumble. Strange black fog surged out of the 8 treasures lotus pond of merits and virtues. It changed its shape in the void, resembling phantoms of demon gods, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they rushed towards Ling Xiao. The strange black fog seemed to have sensed the departure of the demon Buddha. A flaw appeared in the 8 desolation demon suppression grand array, and it began to erupt. Rumble. The entire mountain began to tremble. A terrifying roar came from the depths of the earth, as if it wanted to tear the world apart and rush out from the depths of the earth. Not good. Ling Xiao's expression changed. He simply released the control of the wordless heavenly book. A brilliant light shot out from between his eyebrows. The wordless heavenly book rushed out and floated above the 8 treasures lotus pond of merits and virtues. Buzz! The wordless heavenly book emitted a bright light and floated in the void. Golden runes hung down like divine chains, emitting a mysterious and majestic aura. The strange black fog seemed to have met its nemesis. It wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves. The golden divine chains wrapped around it, and it was instantly swallowed by the wordless heavenly book. Bang! 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 The wordless heavenly scripture was like a heart, slowly beating. Every time it breathed in and out, it would devour large swaths of the strange black mist. None of the black mist could escape the range of the 8 treasures' lotus pool of virtue. Wisps of mysterious essence energy merged into Ling Xiao's body. It was like the purest Xiantian energy, slowly improving his foundation and enriching his life source. Of course, the most important thing was that the power of his spirit began to advance by leaps and bounds. Although this strange black fog was terrifying, and if an ordinary martial artist were to come into contact with it, they would instantly be assimilated into a monster that only knew how to kill. However, the wordless heavenly book was its nemesis. Moreover, it could devour the power of the strange black fog and transform it into the purest mental strength. Ling Xiao simply sat cross-legged beside the 8 treasures' lotus pond of merits and virtues. His hands rapidly formed seals, activating the 8 divine seals of heaven, earth, yin, yang, wind, thunder, volcano, and fire to seal off the power of the 8 desolation demon suppression grand array. At the same time, he was refining the mysterious energy from the wordless heavenly book. Furthermore, as Ling Xiao's spiritual power grew stronger, so did the universal devil suppression grand formation. In the end, the Octaterra demon suppression grand formation used the 8 energies of heaven, earth, yin, yang, wind, thunder, fire, and fire as its foundation. It mobilized the power of heaven and earth, used the dragon chi of the earth, and the power of the laws of the heaven to form a powerful sealing force. It could erupt with unparalleled power to seal or even destroy those powerful beings. Although the strange creature underground was terrifying, it was still unable to break free from the power of the 8 desolation devil suppression great formation. It had no way of destroying the 8 desolation secret land, so it was impossible for it to escape. Now, although the demonic Buddha had left as the eye of the formation, the power of the universal demon subduing formation was extremely weak. In Ling Xiao's opinion, it would be difficult for it to hold on for 10 years. Moreover, the moment the demonic Buddha left and the universal demon subduing formation showed a flaw, the strange black fog began to riot. If not for the existence of the wordless heavenly tome, it would have been impossible for Ling Xiao to reseal the universal devil suppression grand formation. The strange black fog could have swallowed him in an instant. Roar! Ling Xiao seemed to feel that from the depths of the endless underground, the angry roar was getting louder and louder. It seemed to have felt the threat of the wordless heavenly tome, but it was unwilling to retreat. More and more strange black fog, mixed with balls of black divine light, erupted in the 8 treasures' lotus pond of virtue. Rumble! The violent divine light exploded, and the strange black fog contained the power to destroy everything. It wanted to break through the seal of the divine chains of order and escape completely. However, it was useless. The wordless heavenly tome emitted a mysterious light. Those soft divine chains of order looked like they could be broken by a touch, but they were incomparably sturdy. They blocked all the black divine light inside. At the same time, the 8 divine seals of heaven, earth, yin, yang, wind, thunder, fire, and fire burst out with bright light. The entire 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue began to spurt out divine light, and the 8 divine seals slowly floated up and began to merge. Once the 8 divine seals merged again, the Octaterra demon suppression grand formation would stabilize again. Rumble! As if sensing the threat of the 8 divine seals, the 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue and virtue began to tremble. A furious roar containing a monstrous baleful aura rose from the pond. Moreover, a black demonic palm broke through the layers of seals and struggled to grab the wordless heavenly book. Crack! Black divine light flashed, and the laws of heaven and earth seemed to be shattered by this grab. The void trembled slightly. The terrifying power contained in this grab made Ling Xiao's eyes turn serious. Could the wordless heavenly tome block this demonic palm? Boom! Those soft divine chains of order instantly erupted at this moment. The divine chains of order intertwined, and endless golden light spread out. The wordless heavenly tome actually slowly opened at this moment, and a golden ancient rune character floated out from it. It seemed to contain the mysteries of heaven and earth, and it directly imprinted on the black demonic palm. Heaven and earth trembled, and the entire mountain peak began to shake violently. The black demonic palm actually began to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the strange black fog in the 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue was instantly swallowed up by the wordless heavenly tome. A powerful and pure energy instantly poured into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness, containing a majestic and mysterious power. Ling Zhao's dissipated spiritual energy actually slowly condensed in an instant, forming a small golden figure, emitting a soft golden light. The small golden figure seemed to be only an inch tall, but it contained a majestic and unparalleled power. Its face was exactly the same as Ling Zhao's, and it sat cross-legged in the sea of consciousness. In an instant, it shone brightly, and the world shook. This is the primordial spirit. Ling Zhao's body trembled, and a trace of excitement appeared in his eyes. A warrior's spiritual energy was usually very scattered. Even an alchemy master's spiritual energy was strong, but it was not condensed into a form. For an expert at the 9th level of the celestial realm to break through to the noble stage, and for an alchemy master to break through to the alchemy grandmaster, the most crucial step was to condense a martial path primordial spirit, dominate one's own world, and condense the will of heaven and earth to become a supreme noble. However, it was too difficult to condense a martial path primordial spirit. Otherwise, Xia Huang, Ling Juechen, and Chunyang Zhenren, these 3 outstanding martial arts geniuses, would not have wasted so many years at the 9th level of the celestial realm. One could imagine how great of a fortune it was for Ling Zhao to be able to take this step. No, this is only the embryonic form of the primordial spirit, and not the true primordial spirit. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he felt a faint trace of the will of heaven and earth condensing on the small primordial spirit. Generally, the weakest martial path primordial spirit was 3 inches tall, and some exceptional geniuses could even condense a 9-inch primordial spirit, or even stronger. Chapter 262. Ling Zhao's mental strength had indeed become much stronger and had reached the level of a peerless alchemy master. However, there was still a long way to go before he could reach the alchemy grandmaster realm. That black demonic palm is actually so terrifying. Ling Zhao was pleasantly surprised. No matter how much the wordless heavenly book devoured, it could only increase his mental strength. It was far from being able to instantly condense the embryonic form of the martial Dao primordial spirit. Therefore, what shocked Ling Zhao was the black demonic palm. However, a black demonic palm was already so terrifying. Once the true body of the strange creature was born, what kind of monstrous demonic flames would it be? Boom! As the black demonic palm was destroyed, the 8 divine seals instantly merged into one and fell back into the 8 treasures lotus pond of merit and virtue. The 8 desolation demon suppression formation stabilized again. Ling Zhao heaved a sigh of relief, but the seriousness in his eyes did not lessen at all. It seems that I still underestimated that strange creature. With the current power of the 8 desolation demon suppression formation, it might be able to seal it for 3 years. Ling Zhao smiled bitterly. That strange creature has been sealed for 10,000 years. It should be at its weakest now. If I can kill it now, it might be the best opportunity. However, I'm afraid I can't do it by myself. Ling Zhao frowned and thought to himself. Although the wordless heavenly book was powerful, it was only a treasure after all. Ling Zhao's cultivation was too weak. He might die before he could even get close to that strange creature. If Senior Demon Buddha makes a move, he might be able to kill it. However, Ling Zhao thought of the Demon Buddha. Although the Demon Buddha's state was very strange, with the chi of life and death intertwined. He looked like a living dead, but his strength was extremely powerful. Ling Zhao felt that the Demon Buddha had at least the combat strength of a monarch realm expert. However, when he thought of the Demon Buddha's chaotic state, Ling Zhao couldn't help but smile bitterly. The demon Buddha seemed a little deranged and didn't even know who he was. It was unrealistic to ask him to eliminate the demon. Now, I can only slowly think of a way. Ling Xiao sighed softly. That strange creature was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. It was a great threat to the entire Eight Desolates region. However, Ling Xiao did not have any good ideas. Ling Xiao stood up and looked at the 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue and virtue. His eyes revealed a trace of nostalgia. This 8 desolation devil suppression grand formation was the only clue Ling Xiao had left behind to find Jin Se. Unfortunately, he still couldn't find Jin Se's location. That senior devil Buddha might know. I can only wait for him to regain his consciousness and find an opportunity to ask him. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Then he slowly walked out of the ancient hall and closed the 2 doors. The immortality peach tree must be brought back to the longevity sect as soon as possible. Only the path understanding tree can accelerate its growth. These peaches are extremely precious to the disciples of the longevity sect. Each of them can create a genius or even a monster. With a flash of light, Ling Xiao took out the ancient peach tree from his longevity ring. There were a total of 15 peaches. Each of them was the size of a bowl. They shone with a golden light and a fragrant smell. At first glance, one could tell that they were peerless treasures. Spiritual herbs could be divided into lower-grade spiritual herbs, middle-grade spiritual herbs, upper-grade spiritual herbs, supreme-grade spiritual herbs, royal-grade spiritual herbs and supreme sage herbs. Although this immortality peach tree was not as precious as the path understanding tree, it was still at the level of a royal-grade spiritual herb. Not only could the immortality peach increase one's lifespan by 300 years, but it could also allow a martial artist to be reborn and raise their aptitude. Even a good-for-nothing could be raised to the level of a genius by a single immortality peach. It could also allow a genius to evolve into a monster. However, the immortality peach tree grew on the dragon chi of the spiritual veins. Without a suitable method, it would die easily. Ling Xiao did not know why the martial arts Holy Lands had only left behind this immortality peach tree after plundering all the treasures and inheritances in the 8 Desolates secret region. Perhaps it was because of the long-armed ape kings. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. In the end, he used spiritual crystals to set up a formation and used a seal to seal the vitality of the immortality peach tree. Then, he carefully placed it into his longevity ring. It might be difficult for others to transplant the immortality peach tree, but it was not difficult for Ling Xiao. The Yin-Yang Valley should be opening soon. I wonder how Sister Qing Qing and the rest are doing with their cultivation. Ling Xiao thought to himself. It took Ling Xiao more than a day to reseal the 8 Desolates demon suppression formation. By his calculations, the Yin-Yang Valley should be opening soon. Ling Xiao left the ancient palace and walked down the mountain. He did not know if the long-armed ape king was still guarding the foot of the mountain. If the long-armed ape king was not around, Ling Xiao could find an opportunity to find the exit of the mustard seed formation. If the long-armed ape king was still guarding the foot of the mountain, it would be troublesome. This time, Ling Xiao did not choose to go back the way he came. Instead, he went down the mountain through a small path. This towering mountain seemed to have a special meaning. It was where the earth veins of the 8 Desolates secret region gathered. Hence, it could be used as the hub of the 8 Desolates demon suppression formation. On his way down the mountain, Ling Xiao came across many wreckage and weapons. He even came across many dilapidated palaces and caves. However, the treasures and inheritances within had all been swept clean. There were no valuable treasures left behind. Moreover, Ling Xiao noticed that the few plants on the mountain had all withered. There was even a faint strange black fog lingering around. The originally majestic and boundless divine mountain had actually become eerie and ghostly. A faint and strange black fog drifted about, turning everything that had life into a land of death one after another. It seems like the demonic Buddha left the 8 treasures lotus pond of merits and virtues and allowed some of the strange black fog to escape. Ling Xiao's heart was heavy. The strange black fog that he encountered along the way was devoured by the wordless heavenly book. Not long after, Ling Xiao arrived at the foot of the mountain. The long-armed ape king. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He saw the long-armed ape king standing at the foot of the mountain. It was exuding a monstrous aura. It was like a small mountain, blocking Ling Xiao's path. Why is this guy here? Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. He didn't expect his worst fears to come true. In order to avoid the long-armed ape king, he took a detour down the mountain. He didn't expect to meet this big guy. Something's not right. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt that something was wrong with the long-armed ape king. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of strange black fog and his blood was boiling. Even though his eyes were cold and bloodthirsty, there was a hint of pleading in his eyes when he looked at Ling Xiao. The strange black fog in its body has erupted. Ling Xiao's eyes darkened. He suddenly thought of something. Previously, when he was confronting the long-armed ape king, he had already sensed the fluctuations of the strange black fog from the long-armed ape king's body. However, at that time, the influence of the strange black fog on the long-armed ape king was very small and did not threaten its foundation. Now, the long-armed ape king was shrouded in the strange black fog. It wanted to completely erode it and turn it into a monster that only knew how to kill. Chapter 263. It's asking for help from me. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Just a day ago, Ling Xiao was still fighting to the death with this group of long-armed ape kings. Ling Xiao had even snatched away their immortality peach tree. Ling Xiao reckoned that the moment the long-armed ape kings saw Ling Xiao, they would be incomparably enraged and tear Ling Xiao to pieces. However, he did not expect the strange black fog in the long-armed ape king's body to erupt. The ape king was desperate and sought help from Ling Xiao. Is this fellow trying to trick me? Ling Xiao's expression was a little strange. He stood on the mountain peak and did not descend immediately. The strange black fog on the long-armed ape king's body was getting thicker. Ling Xiao could see the crimson-red and bloodthirsty eyes of the ape king mixed with an unyielding struggle. Roar! The ape king roared and pounded his chest with both fists. The blood in his body boiled as he tried to break free from the corrosion of the strange black fog. However, the strange black fog was like a tarsal bone. It was like a black light that flowed slowly on the ape king's body. In the end, it surged towards the ape king's head. One could imagine that once the ape king was completely engulfed by the strange black fog, its intelligence would be wiped out and it would turn into a monster that only knew how to kill. Forget it. You're lucky. Seeing the unyielding and stubborn look in the ape king's eyes, Ling Xiao was slightly touched and sighed. At this moment, he did not care if the ape king would seek revenge. Ling Xiao decided to save the ape king. Swoosh! Ling Xiao turned into a ray of golden light and swept to the foot of the mountain. Rumble! The space between Ling Xiao's eyebrows shone brightly. Strands of golden light swept across the sky like God-order chains and rolled towards the strange black fog on the ape king's body. The strange black fog felt threatened and boiled instantly. It rose from the ape king's body and spread towards the ape king's head at an even faster speed. You're courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He slammed his palm down and the heaven-devouring secret skill was fully activated. A golden vortex fell on the ape king's head and devoured the strange black fog. Buzz! The God-order chains intertwined and wrapped around the ape king. Faint runes were imprinted on the ape king's body and they were constantly devouring the strange black fog. At the same time, although Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill could not devour the strange black fog as fast as the wordless heavenly book, it was able to prevent the black fog's spread. Rumble! The strange black fog on the ape king's body seemed to be boiling. It charged left and right, but in the end, it was unable to break through the blockade of the God sequence chains. In the end, the strange black fog was completely devoured. The Ape King gradually regained its calm, and its eyes became clear again. Whoosh! In an instant, Ling Xiao's figure dashed out several hundred feet and stood on top of the mountain peak again. He looked at the long-armed Ape King warily. Roar! The long-armed Ape King roared at Ling Xiao, but its voice was very low and slow. Its cold eyes softened as it looked at Ling Xiao with gratitude. It scratched its head, looking very simple and honest. Then, to Ling Xiao's surprise, the huge body of the Ape King actually knelt down and kowtowed to Ling Xiao a few times. This time, Ling Xiao felt a little embarrassed. He seemed to have been a little too vigilant. The Ape King really knew how to repay kindness. Brother Ape, please get up. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly and slowly walked down from the mountain peak. It seemed like after saving the Ape King, not only did he resolve the Ape King's hatred for him, he even gained the Ape King's favor. Don't go near this mountain in the future. Take your monkeys and leave this place. Ling Xiao looked at the Ape King and smiled, then prepared to leave. Roar! The Ape King stared at Ling Xiao with its bell-like eyes. At this moment, its ferocious aura had disappeared, and it looked very simple and honest. It picked up the huge metal rod and followed behind Ling Xiao. Why are you following me? Hurry up and find your monkey grandchildren. Ling Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He realized that the Ape King was sticking to him. Wherever he went, the Ape King would follow. Roar! The Ape King pointed at itself and then at Ling Xiao. It made a few gestures in the air, and its eyes were filled with anticipation. You mean, you want to follow me? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. The Ape King nodded repeatedly. Its face was filled with excitement and emotion. It then raised the huge metal rod in its hand. You mean, you want to help me beat up the bad guys? Ling Xiao's expression became even more strange. This big guy looked very ferocious before, but after gaining its favor, Ling Xiao realized that the long-armed Ape King was very simple and honest. Its spiritual intelligence was only equivalent to a 7 or 8-year-old human child. Maybe it's because of the influence of the strange black fog. Ling Xiao thought for a moment. Usually, a peak rank 6 demonic beast's spiritual intelligence was no different from a normal person. Perhaps the Ape King's spiritual intelligence was slower because of the influence of the strange black fog. Alright, follow me from now on. I'll bring you out of the 8 Barrens secret region. Ling Xiao smiled and jumped up. He patted the Ape King's furry head. The Ape King nodded repeatedly. Its eyes were filled with excitement. This was a peak rank 6 demonic beast, and an archaic variant. If the bloodline of the long-armed Ape King was fully activated, the potential it could unleash would be terrifying. Ling Xiao thought that the Changsun sect was still too weak. If he could activate the bloodline of the long-armed Ape King and help it break through to rank 7 Demon King, it would be a good choice to be the guardian of the Changsun sect. Roar, roar, the long-armed Ape King pointed at itself and then pointed into the distance. It gestured with its arms and then looked at Ling Xiao with anticipation and pleading. You mean, you want to bring your monkeys out with you? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. He could understand the meaning of the Ape King's cryptic words. There were more than 100 long-armed apes. If so many long-armed apes were to leave the 8 Barrens secret region, it would definitely increase the strength of the Changsun sect. However, it would inevitably attract the attention of others. This was not in line with Ling Xiao's temperament of making a fortune silently. The longevity ring is still unable to store living creatures. However, I have the ancient painting left behind by Jin Se. The ancient painting has its own dimension and the void boundary stone. If it could be combined with the longevity ring, not only would it increase the quality of the longevity ring, it might even restore the ability of the longevity ring to store living creatures. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Now that he had the mental strength of a peerless alchemy master, and by chance, he had condensed the embryonic form of the martial way primordial spirit. Perhaps he could try to combine the longevity ring and the ancient painting. Brother Ape, go and gather your monkey grandchildren. Wait for me at the foot of the mountain. I'll think of a way to bring all of you out. Ling Xiao looked at the Ape King and smiled. Chapter 264. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he took out an ancient painting. Looking at the figure in the ancient painting and the poem, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of sadness. This feeling can become a memory, but I was already at a loss. Jin say, no matter what, I will find you. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. Then, he took a deep breath and suppressed the sadness in his heart. His eyes became incomparably calm again. Boom! The true devouring fire emitted a five-colored light that rose from Ling Xiao's palm. Strands of light wrapped around the ancient painting, and faint runes began to appear on the ancient painting. Ling Xiao was the one who had refined the ancient painting. Thus, he was incomparably familiar with it. The ancient painting was a secret treasure. It contained the secret heaven-gorging technique and the longevity supreme scripture. Additionally, Ling Xiao had also fused a void plane stone into it. The ethereal stone was a top-grade heavenly treasure used to refine supreme weapons. It contained the laws of the void realm and was incomparably precious. What Ling Xiao needed to do now was to take out the ethereal stone from the ancient painting and fuse it with his longevity ring to repair a part of it. Buzz! The true devouring fire shone brightly. Ling Xiao was very careful. He wanted to take out the ethereal stone, but he did not want to destroy the ancient painting. The ancient painting could be said to be the last thing that Jin Se had left for him. The runes on the ancient painting were dazzling. Under Ling Xiao's control, the true devouring fire emitted a five-colored light that fused into the ancient painting like strands of fire. A majestic aura spread out as the true devouring fire began to extract the ethereal stone from the ancient painting. Ling Xiao's movements were very skillful. The ancient painting was a secret treasure that he had personally refined. Therefore, even the difficult method of extracting the ethereal stone was as smooth as flowing water in his hands. Soon, a black ball of light floated out from the ancient painting. The ball of light was as bright as a crystal, and there were specks of silver light floating on its surface. This was the ethereal stone. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. The longevity ring floated down from his finger and turned into a ball of light that instantly enveloped the ethereal stone. Buzz! The longevity ring trembled slightly and emitted a faint fluctuation of joy. Ling Xiao could feel that a mysterious rune was beginning to awaken. The dazzling light became even stronger. It was as if the world was being created inside the longevity ring. The void trembled and chaotic fog spread out. The void in all directions was constantly expanding. The space that was originally only 100 feet in radius became bigger and bigger. It seems that as long as I continue to fuse precious heavenly treasures into it, the longevity ring will one day return to its previous life. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. He had sensed the spiritual energy in the longevity ring. Originally, Ling Xiao had assumed that the longevity ring's artifact spirit had already dissipated. However, from the looks of it, perhaps the artifact spirit had been damaged. In the end, however, there was still a seed left. As long as the longevity ring grew stronger, the day would come when the artifact spirit within it would completely awaken. Boom! The surface of the longevity ring shone with a resplendent light. Inside, however, it was as though heaven and earth had been split apart. Countless bolts of lightning flashed and a large stretch of space was split open. Additionally, there was also a faint strand of power of laws spreading out from it. A few hours later, the longevity ring shook slightly and a formidable aura spread out from the longevity ring. Supreme grade prized artifact. What a pity! Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a look of pity. He had thought that with the ethereal stone, he might be able to restore the longevity ring to the level of a low-grade Dao artifact. Unexpectedly, it was still lacking. The damage to the longevity ring had been too severe. One ethereal stone was not enough for the longevity ring to leave behind a Dao seal, engrave the laws, and upgrade it to the level of a Dao artifact. Sensing the space within the longevity ring, Ling Xiao's face revealed a look of satisfaction. The space within the longevity ring had a radius of 50 li. It was almost the size of this valley. It was more than enough to accommodate over 100 great long-armed apes. With a flash of light, the longevity ring reappeared on Ling Xiao's finger. Then, Ling Xiao carefully kept the ancient painting. When Ling Xiao came down from the mountain, he saw the ape king leading over 100 great long-armed apes at the foot of the mountain. Roar! Seeing Ling Xiao come down from the mountain, the ape king roared excitedly. His eyes were filled with excitement. The great long-armed apes also looked at Ling Xiao curiously. After all, they had just been tricked by this kid. Even the immortality peach tree was snatched away by him. Now, their king wanted them to submit to this human kid. Immediately, a few of the great long-armed apes revealed looks of dissatisfaction. Paw! Paw! The ape king had long since noticed the arrogant great long-armed apes. He quickly ran over and sent a few slaps at them. After being beaten up, the great long-armed apes became obedient. Seeing this, Ling Xiao could not help but smile. Alright, brother ape. Later on, don't resist. I will keep you all into my storage magic treasure first. Once we leave the 8 desolate secret region, I will release you all. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. The ape king nodded, indicating that he understood. Wang! The longevity ring shone with a gentle light, which enveloped all the great long-armed apes. All of the great long-armed apes cast curious looks at the light above their heads. However, all of them stood there obediently, not daring to move. Ling Xiao's mental strength exploded, instantly keeping all of the great long-armed apes into the longevity ring. Sister Qing and the others should be almost done with their cultivation. I hope they don't run around. If they bump into that strange creature, it will be troublesome. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of worry. In an instant, he flew into the distance. Ling Xiao had the wordless heavenly book, which could devour the strange black fog. However, if Qing and the others were contaminated by the strange black fog, they would not be able to resist at all. In the 8 desolate secret region, a black palace sat among the mountains. The black palace was ancient and majestic. It exuded a boundless aura, and there were traces of sharpness in the air. Within the palace, a terrifying saber radiance swept across. A saber essence that seemed to want to destroy the heavens and earth spread out, enveloping a slender young man in a black robe. In front of the black-robed young man, there was a black skeleton. The terrifying saber essence was emanating from the skeleton. The black-robed young man's mouth was spitting out divine radiance. Strands of mysterious saber essence merged into his body. The black skeleton in front of him slowly floated in the void, emitting mysterious energy that surged toward the black-robed young man's limbs and bones. Young Master Chen, how is the refining of the heavenly saber king's bone going? The Yin-Yang Valley is about to open. If we are late, we will miss it. Chapter 265. Rumble. The black-robed young man opened his eyes abruptly and a cold and sharp light shot out. It was as though the heavenly saber was soaring through the sky. The black skeleton instantly turned into a black mist and surged into his body. The black-robed young man stood up slowly and exuded a terrifying aura. It was as though he was going to split the sky and his saber essence was domineering. He was Chen Fengdao. The bone of the heavenly saber king has been refined by me. Ha ha ha. Let's see who can stop me now. Ling Xiao and Ling Feng must die. Chen Fengdao laughed wildly. His black hair flew in the wind and his eyes were extremely cold. His cultivation had reached LV4 of the Grandmaster realm. Moreover, the terrifying saber essence fluctuation caused the young man outside the palace to tremble. Congratulations, young Master Chen. Congratulations. The Heavenly Saber King has the legendary bloodline of the Heavenly Saber. After refining the bone of the Heavenly Saber King, young Master Chen has inherited a part of the power of the bloodline of the Heavenly Saber King. When the time comes, killing Ling Xiao and Ling Feng will be a piece of cake. The black-robed young man outside the palace was called Tang Xian. He was the 9th prince's subordinate. He knelt down in front of Chen Fengdao and said respectfully. Tang Xian was one of the 9th Prince Xia Yunran's men. Other than replacing Xia Yunran, his biggest purpose in entering the 8 desolate secret territory was to bring Chen Fengdao here to refine the Heavenly Saber King's bone. Ha ha ha. Let's go. Chen Fengdao laughed when he heard Tang Xian's compliment. He walked out of the palace with Tang Xian and headed toward the Yin-Yang Valley in high spirits. Chen Fengdao felt that after refining the bone of the Heavenly Saber King, not only had his cultivation soared to level 4 of the Grandmaster realm in 3 days, but his comprehension of the Saber Dao had also increased. He had instantly comprehended the 3rd slash of the 8 annihilation slashes. He could not wait to find Ling Xiao. Chen Fengdao was full of confidence and wanted to trample Ling Xiao under his feet. Rumble. Golden lightning flashed and the void trembled slightly. Ling Xiao's figure flashed and appeared in the void instantly. He's finally out. This mustard seed formation is really powerful. Ling Xiao sighed. In order to find the exit of the mustard seed array, he had turned the entire valley upside down. In the end, he found a weak node and forcefully broke out of the array. Sun Feng, you dare to plot against me? Let's see if you can escape this time. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes, emitting a blazing murderous intent. Sun Feng'an's calculation had almost caused Ling Xiao to fall into a desperate situation. Even Sun Feng did not expect Ling Xiao to not only escape, but also tame the long-armed ape king. The place where Ling Xiao appeared was on top of a cliff, surrounded by clouds and mist, like a fairyland. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a lake. It was so clear that one could see the bottom, and it emitted a faint mist that mixed with the surrounding clouds. It was incomparably misty. And Ling Xiao actually felt a trace of restriction fluctuation from below. Could there be some kind of treasure below? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he followed the steep cliff and headed downwards. The 8 desolate secret land was the central battlefield of the Great Calamity 10,000 years ago. However, according to Ling Xiao's understanding, the most important thing was to seal the strange creatures in the 8 desolate secret land. Therefore, even the few martial arts sanctuaries were wary of the 8 desolate secret land. Although they had obtained many inheritances and treasures, they had not fully explored the 8 desolate secret land. There were many places that were shrouded in a layer of mystery. The lake below was very clear, and there was a faint spiritual energy emitting from it. The surroundings were misty, and it looked very peaceful. In the middle of the lake, there was a small piece of land. There was a very ordinary black tree growing on it. It was only 3 feet tall, and there were 3 black fruits hanging on it. They were the size of longans and looked very ordinary. And the restriction fluctuation that Ling Xiao felt came from that small black tree. Those 3 black fruits, could they be? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as if he had thought of something. There was a trace of excitement in his eyes. Swoosh! Ling Xiao turned into a ray of light as he flew across the lake and landed on the land in the middle. The small black tree in front of him was shrouded in a layer of strange fluctuation, and all the smell was blocked. At a closer look, it was blurry and hazy. Is there really a restriction? If there really is, then it is not strange that there is a restriction around it. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he stretched out his hand and slowly placed it on the small black tree. Crack! A ray of black lightning shot out, and the restriction outside the small black tree was activated. A terrifying killing intent shrouded Ling Xiao, as if it was going to turn him into dust. Break! Ling Xiao looked very calm as he uttered a word. Suddenly, golden divine light burst out from his body and shattered the lightning. Then, he slammed heavily on the restriction. Rumble! A layer of ripples appeared outside the small black tree, and the light in the void trembled. At the same time, heaven-devouring true qi spread out from Ling Xiao's hand and slowly devoured the power of the restriction. Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill could be said to be the nemesis of all restriction formations in the world. When the heaven-devouring secret skill was cultivated to the extreme, it could even devour heaven and earth, not to mention restriction formations. After all, the so-called restriction and formation power were the use of the law of heaven and earth and energy in the void. They were still energy. Once the energy was drained by the heaven-devouring secret skill, no matter how powerful the formation was, it would be destroyed instantly. Bang! Before long, a layer of ripples appeared outside the small black tree. Instantly, the light dimmed and it shattered. Ling Xiao finally saw the shape of the small black tree. It was a small tree that was 30 feet tall. Its whole body was black, and its branches and leaves were as bright as jade. It was very delicate, and it gave off a gentle aura. Especially the 3 fruits. They were the size of longans and looked like black pearls. They gave off a faint black light and a strong fragrance. These are transformation fruits. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he instantly recognized the origin of the 3 black fruits. The transformation fruit was a peerless spiritual medicine. It was very rare and usually grew in places with strong evil qi or the burial grounds of experts above the demonic royal realm. It contained the power to purify the bloodline and could help demonic beasts refine their demonic bodies and transform into human form. There was also a peerless spiritual medicine called the transformation elixir, which used the transformation fruit as the main ingredient. It could help peak rank 6 demonic beasts to break through to the rank 7 demonic king realm. However, the transformation fruit was too rare and had a fatal attraction to demonic beasts. Usually, it would be swallowed by demonic beasts before it was ripe, let alone a ripe transformation fruit. The strong fragrance drifted with the wind and was about to spread out of the lake. Oh no! Chapter 266. The fragrance of the transformation fruit had a fatal attraction to demonic beasts. If the fragrance were to spread and attract those powerful demonic beasts, it would be troublesome. After Ling Xiao plucked the 3 transformation fruits, the small black tree started to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, it turned into ashes in an instant. With these 3 transformation fruits, as long as I can refine the transformation pill, the Ape King will be able to transform into a rank 7 demon king. It will be enough to protect the Changsun sect. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Then, he moved his body and dashed out from the center of the lake. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, 2 figures appeared by the lake and blocked Ling Xiao's path. They were 2 burly young men in black robes. They were tall and had a long breath. Both of them were at level 2 of the Grandmaster realm. Both of them had a faint smile on their faces as they stared at Ling Xiao. Their eyes were cold and there was a hint of greed in them. Little brother, can you show us the treasure you just obtained from the center of the lake? One of the young men in black robes looked at Ling Xiao and asked with a smile. Treasure? I didn't get any treasure. Ling Xiao said indifferently as his eyes flashed. Brat, don't push your luck. I saw you plucking 3 spiritual fruits from the center of the lake. Do you dare to say that you didn't get any? The other young man in black robes stared at Ling Xiao with a cold gaze. His face was filled with arrogance as he stared at Ling Xiao. Little brother, we are here for the 3 spiritual fruits. We didn't expect you to beat us to it. How about this? We won't take advantage of you. Since there are 3 spiritual fruits, we can take 1 each. How about that? The young man with a smile on his face said with a glimmer of light in his eyes. 3 spiritual fruits. Are you talking about this? Ling Xiao's lips curled into a mocking smile. With a flash of light in his hand, 3 shape-shifting fruits appeared in his palm. A rich aroma filled the air. Ling Xiao could tell at a glance that these 2 young men were the geniuses of the great Hong ancient country. He didn't expect that a calamity would befall him. It's these 3 spiritual fruits. The eyes of the 2 young men lit up in an instant, revealing undisguised greed. Although the 2 of them didn't know what the transformation fruit was, they could feel their blood boiling when they smelled the rich fragrance. They knew that these 3 spirit fruits must be supreme treasures. Little brother, you're really something. Ha ha ha, the friendly-looking young man laughed as he reached out to grab the fruit. Wang! With a flash of light, the 3 fruits were stored in his longevity ring. The 2 young men's faces instantly darkened, and their eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. Brat, are you toying with us? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said, that's right. What can you do about it? You're courting death. The cold-looking young man could no longer hold back his anger. A ferocious look appeared on his face as he unleashed his cultivation at LV2 of the Supreme Power Realm. Innate Gang Qi filled the air and his fingers were like the claws of an eagle, shining with a jade-like luster. Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold, and he also threw out a punch. Bang! The fist and the claw collided, and a muffled sound rang out. The expression of the cold-looking young man, who was originally filled with murderous intent, changed drastically in an instant. He felt an incomparably terrifying divine power attack him. He let out a blood-curdling scream and was instantly sent flying backwards, coughing up blood incessantly. What? The kind-looking young man's expression changed drastically. The young man in front of him was only at the Dragon-Tiger realm. How could he have such terrifying combat strength? Without thinking, he pulled out a war saber from behind his back. His eyes were burning with killing intent as he slashed at Ling Xiao. Get lost! Ling Xiao kicked the young man's abdomen. The unparalleled divine power from his foot caused the young man's internal organs to churn. His whole body bent like a prawn, and the war saber in his hand couldn't be held steadily. He fell to the ground. Puff! The 2 young men coughed up blood and fell to the ground. They looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of shock. You! Don't come over. Who are you? Looking at the faint smile on Ling Xiao's face, the 2 of them trembled and revealed a trace of fear. Slap! Slap! Ling Xiao walked over and gave them a few slaps. The 2 young men were stunned and their faces were swollen. How dare you snatch my things? How bold of you! Ling Xiao sneered and hit them hard. The 2 young men from the Great Hong ancient country knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Young master, please spare our lives. We won't dare to do it again, the 2 young men kowtowed as though they were pounding garlic. They wanted to cry but had no tears. Who would have thought that a young man at the Dragon-Tiger realm would be so terrifying? The 2 of them were Grandmaster realm experts, but they couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. Why are the 2 of you here? Where did Flood Demon go? Ling Xiao looked indifferent as he began to interrogate the 2 young men. After being beaten up by Ling Xiao, the 2 of them were much more honest. They directly answered Ling Xiao's questions. After the people from the Great Hong ancient country entered the 8 Desolation secret area, the 2 of us were sent out by young Master Flood Demon to scout the way. We accidentally found this lake and sensed that there might be treasures. So, young Master Flood Demon and the others heard that they found a spiritual spring and rushed over there. Hearing the 2 of them, Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly flashed. Spiritual spring? Where is the spiritual spring? Ling Xiao had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be the spiritual spring where Ling Qingqing and the others were? If that was the case, it would be terrible. We also don't know where the spiritual spring is. However, we heard that the spiritual spring is between 2 mountains. Young Master Flood Demon is preparing to occupy the spiritual spring before the Yin-Yang Valley opens. The 2 young men from the Great Hong ancient country revealed a trace of curiosity in their eyes. However, they still answered honestly. Damn it! Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. He directly sent out a palm blade and knocked the 2 young men out. Then, he leaped up, turned into a golden lightning, and flew towards the distance. Sister Qingqing, nothing must happen to the 2 of you. If anything happens to the 2 of you, I will make the people from the Great Hong ancient country accompany you in death. Ling Xiao's eyes were very cold. According to the description of the 2 young men from the Great Hong ancient country, the spiritual spring that Flood Demon and the others were going to was the place where Ling Qingqing and the others were. Ling Qingqing, who had the highest cultivation among the group, was probably only at level 3 Grandmaster realm. It was impossible for her to be a match for Flood Demon and the others. The people from the Great Hong ancient country were definitely not easy to deal with. Once they broke through, Ling Qingqing and the others would be in danger. Chapter 267. In the underground karst cave of Gemini Mountain. Ling Qingqing, Xia Hongxiu, Li Qingfeng, Lu Feng, and Lu Yun were surrounded in the middle. They all looked like they were in a sorry state, with streaks of blood on their bodies. Their eyes were filled with rage. Hong Sha, we have already given you the spiritual spring. What else do you want? Qingfeng's eyes were red and his aura was surging. His cultivation had reached LV2 of the Grandmaster realm. However, there was a long trail of blood on his back, which dyed his white robe red. Opposite them were 6 young geniuses in black robes. Their eyes were cold and they were holding long swords and sabers, exuding a cold murderous intent. Hong Sha was dressed in a black robe. His eyes were like lightning as his entire body emitted a black demonic aura. His entire being carried an evil aura. He appeared wild, unrestrained, and very aggressive. He ignored Qingfeng and looked at Xia Hongxiu. He smiled and said, Princess Hongxiu, I admire you a lot. As long as you agree to be my woman, I will let them go. Otherwise, they will all die. Although Hong Sha was laughing, his voice was extremely arrogant and contained a ghastly baleful aura. Hong Sha, you bastard! Xia Hongxiu's eyes were filled with anger. Her chest heaved up and down. She was very emotional. After Ling Xiao left, the 5 of them cultivated in the spiritual spring. Originally, they planned to cultivate until the Yin-Yang Valley opened before heading to the Yin-Yang Valley. However, they did not expect uninvited guests like Hong Sha to come to the spiritual spring. They had planned to give up the spiritual spring, but Hong Sha had taken a fancy to Xia Hongxiu. He said that if Xia Hongxiu did not agree to be his woman, he would kill Qingfeng, Ling Qingqing, and the rest. Hong Sha, Princess Hongxiu is a true disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. Aren't you afraid that the Sun Moon Star sect will come after you if you touch her? Ling Qingqing stared coldly at Hong Sha. Her face was pale. Ling Qingqing had gained a lot from the 3 days of cultivation. Her cultivation had reached LV4 of the Grandmaster realm, but she was no match for Hong Sha. Hong Sha had cultivated an extremely powerful Tian-level martial art, which caused Ling Qingqing to suffer a great loss and be severely injured. Now, both sides were at daggers drawn. Ling Qingqing, Qingfeng, and the rest could not tolerate Hong Sha bringing Xia Hongxiu along. That was why they were in a standoff. Ling Qingqing could only hope that the name of the Sun Moon Star sect could make Hong Sha fear them. Sun Moon Star sect. No matter how strong they are, they can't control Great Hong ancient country. To tell you the truth, when I leave the 8th secret domain, I will become a true disciple of the Terminator Demon sect. The Princess Hongxiu is a true disciple of the Terminator Demon sect. With me. Is to be, Princess Hongxiu's Hongxiu. Hong Sha sneered. He didn't take the Sun Moon Star sect seriously at all. Black demonic chi surged from his body and his hair danced in the wind. He seemed extremely wild. His burning gaze landed on Xia Hongxiu's body as if he wanted to strip her naked. Princess Hongxiu will never go with you. Hong Sha, if you really want to take Princess Hongxiu away by force, then let's fight to the death. Li Qingfeng laughed coldly, a hint of madness in his eyes. Fight to the death? You don't have the right to do that. Hong Sha laughed disdainfully. Hong Sha, don't be arrogant. If you know what's good for you, let us go. Otherwise, when Ling Xiao returns, you will die. Even Shi Tianluo was defeated by Ling Xiao. Do you think you are stronger than Shi Tianluo? Ling Qingqing's beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she stared at Hong Sha and said coldly. Ling Xiao. You mean that dragon tiger realm brat? Ha ha ha. Are you kidding me? How could he defeat Shi Tianluo? Hong Sha had some impression of Ling Xiao. The image of a handsome young man appeared in his mind. He was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Who was Shi Tianluo? He was one of the 10,000 Beasts' 7 disciples, a famous peerless genius in the entire 8 Desolates region. How could Ling Xiao, a mere dragon-tiger realm cultivator, defeat Shi Tianluo? Hong Sha's lips curled into a mocking smile. Were these people scared out of their minds? How could they make up such a lie? Hong Sha, this is absolutely true. I advise you to think this through. Although you are strong, you are no match for Ling Xiao. Qingfeng glared at Hong Sha and said coldly. As she watched Ling Qingqing and Li Qingfeng argue, Xia Hongxiu felt a surge of warmth in her heart. She couldn't help but think of Yi Zhang's delicate face. If he was here, perhaps today's crisis would not have happened, right? Xia Hongxiu's heart was filled with complex emotions. Although it was complicated, she really hoped that the young man was here. That young man had a kind of magical power that could always make the impossible possible. As long as he was by her side, there would always be an extra sense of security. Hee, so what if you praise Ling Xiao to the heavens? Since you don't want to hand over Xia Hongxiu, you can all die. Hong Sha said disdainfully, a trace of impatience in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, the geniuses of the Great Flood Ancient Kingdom raised their weapons. I've implicated you all. Xia Hongxiu's beautiful eyes reddened as she looked guiltily at Ling Qingqing, Qingfeng, and the rest. There's nothing to feel guilty about. We are all from the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom. How can we be bullied by these bastards? If anything happens to you, I won't be able to answer to Ling Xiao. Ling Qingqing smiled at Xia Hongxiu. That's right. Your Highness, we'll fight it out with them. Ling Xiao will definitely avenge us. Qingfeng gripped the sword in his hand tightly, a trace of determination in his eyes. No, Xia Hongxiu shook her head as if she had made a decision. Her eyes were filled with determination. Stop. Hong Sha, I'll go with you, but you must promise to let them go. Xia Hongxiu said word by word as she stared at Hong Sha. Really? Ha ha ha. Hongxiu, don't worry. As long as you become my woman, I promise to let them go. Hong Sha's eyes lit up, and he instantly laughed out loud. No. Your Highness, let's fight it out with him. Qingqing and Li Qingfeng gasped in shock and hurriedly tried to dissuade her. You can't die here for me. Hurry up and go find Ling Xiao. If you see him, tell him I'm sorry. Xia Hongxiu's eyes were red, but there was a trace of a smile on her face. She ignored Ling Qingqing and Qingfeng's attempts to stop her and walked towards Hong Sha. Chapter 268. A few years ago, when he was at his lowest point, when he had tasted the fickleness of human nature, he had unintentionally seen that young girl smiling at him and giving him a hot steamed bun. From then on, that young girl had become the goddess of his dreams. He thought about it day and night and cultivated like crazy. In just a few years, he had many miraculous encounters and his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. All of this was because he wanted to see the girl again. Now, he found out that Xia Hongxiu was that girl. That was why he wanted to make Xia Hongxiu his woman at all costs. It had become his obsession. Now that his dream was about to come true, he felt a sick pleasure in his heart. Xia Hongxiu walked closer until she was only 3 feet away from him. As if she saw him in a daze, a sharp glint flashed in her eyes. Whoosh! A snow-white dagger flew through the air and slashed towards Hong Sha's neck at lightning speed. Xia Hongxiu did not believe that Hong Sha would let Ling Qingqing, Li Qingfeng, and the rest go. That was why she was prepared to take the risk and assassinate Hong Sha. As long as they killed Hong Sha, the biggest threat, they would have a chance to escape. Clang! The snow-white dagger was as fast as lightning, instantly landing on his neck. However, the expected scene of blood splattering did not happen. Instead, there was the sound of metal clashing. Sparks flew as if the dagger had struck a metal rock. His neck was as hard as a rock, emitting a gray glow and blocking the dagger. Why? Why? Hong Sha woke up, his eyes filled with pain and hatred. He glared at Xia Hongxiu, as if he was about to devour her. Stop dreaming. Even if I die, I won't be your woman. Xia Hongxiu clenched her teeth and snorted coldly. The dagger in her hand instantly turned into 9 afterimages in the void like a long river, aiming at the vital parts of Hong Sha's body. Boom! Hong Sha looked like he was about to go crazy. Demonic qi surged from his body and a terrifying Xiantian qi exploded, shattering all the blade lights. At the same time, his hand shot out like black lightning and grabbed Xia Hongxiu's neck. I've worked so hard just to get you. Why don't you want to be my woman? Why? Hong Sha roared at the top of his lungs. His eyes were filled with madness. Because, you are, a lunatic. Xia Hongxiu's face was completely red. She felt like she was about to suffocate, but she still stubbornly stared at Hong Sha and said, Lunatic? Ha ha ha. That's right, I am indeed a lunatic. Since that's the case, then all of you can go to hell. Kill them all. Hong Sha seemed to have gone mad. His black hair was disheveled, and his blood-red eyes suddenly looked at Li Qingfeng and the others as he roared. Yes. The 6 young geniuses of the Great Flood ancient country replied in unison. Their eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent as they charged towards Qingfeng and the others. Boom! A fierce battle instantly broke out. Among the 6 young geniuses of the Great Flood ancient country, the weakest was at level 2 of the Great Flood ancient country. 2 of them were at level 3 of the Great Flood ancient country, 2 of them were at level 4 of the Great Flood ancient country, and 1 of them was at level 5 of the Great Flood ancient country. Their cultivations were far superior to Qingfeng and Ling Qingqing. In addition, Qingfeng and Ling Qingqing were both injured. Hence, when the battle broke out, Ling Qingqing and the others were in a tough battle. They were at a disadvantage and were in imminent danger. You. Let them go. Xia Hongxiu's eyes were filled with anxiety. She coughed violently and looked at Hong Sha with a pleading gaze. Now you know how to beg me. It's too late. Ha ha ha. Today, I will let you watch them die in front of you. Anyway, I never intended to let them go. Hong Sha laughed as he pinched Xia Hongxiu's snow-white neck. His face flushed a sickly red as he laughed. Cough cough. Ling Xiao, will not let you go. Xia Hongxiu's eyes were filled with despair. She slowly closed her eyes and 2 streams of tears flowed down. Who does Ling Xiao think he is? He should be glad that he isn't here. Otherwise, I would be the first to kill him. Hearing that Xia Hongxiu was still pinning her hopes on Ling Xiao, Hong Sha's heart was filled with an unknown rage as he roared. Kill me. Who do you think you are? At this moment, a cold and indifferent voice rang out in the karst cave. Xia Hongxiu, who had closed her eyes and accepted her fate, suddenly opened her eyes. She was crying tears of joy. He's back. He's finally back, swoosh. A beam of golden divine light shot through the sky. It contained a cold and terrifying presence. Like a golden bolt of lightning, it shot down towards Hong Sha. Who's there? Hong Sha's expression changed as he felt the terrifying aura rapidly approaching him. Without hesitation, the demonic aura around his body surged and his blood boiled. A terrifying fist aura that contained a trace of the destruction of the heavens and earth went up to meet the attack. Boom! The entire underground karst cave shook violently as a terrifying divine power swept out in all directions. Ling Xiao was enveloped in golden divine light. His eyes were indifferent as he appeared where Hong Sha was originally and snatched Xia Hongxiu away from Hong Sha. On the other hand, Hong Sha was sent flying dozens of feet away by Ling Xiao's punch. He slammed heavily into a rock wall in the distance with a loud boom. The rocks turned into dust. The aura was terrifying. Are you alright? Ling Xiao carried Xia Hongxiu and put her down. There was a trace of worry in his eyes. I'm fine. Thank you. Xia Hongxiu's face reddened. She did not dare to look into Ling Xiao's eyes. After leaving Ling Xiao's embrace, she felt a sense of loss. She had mixed feelings. Ling Xiao is back. Ha ha ha. Ling Xiao, kill these bastards. If you came back a little later, we would have died at the hands of these bastards. Qing Feng and Ling Qingqing were overjoyed. They perked up and forced their opponents to retreat. The worry in their hearts was swept away. Sister Qingqing, Qing Feng, I'm glad you're fine. Leave the rest to me. Ling Xiao smiled and heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Luckily, he was not too late. Ling Xiao's gaze fell on Lu Feng and Lu Yun. He saw that they were in a sorry state. Their clothes were tattered but they did not suffer any injuries. The blood stains on their bodies were only superficial wounds. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of brilliance. He then slowly regained his composure. You're Ling Xiao. Level 5 Dragon Tiger Realm. You have such terrifying combat strength. No wonder they said that Shi Tian was defeated by you. It seems like the rumors are true. Chapter 269. You deserve to die. Ling Xiao looked at Hong Sha with a cold murderous intent in his eyes. From the injuries on Ling Qingqing and the rest, it was obvious that Hong Sha and the rest wanted to kill. If Ling Xiao had arrived a little later, Ling Qingqing and the rest would have been in danger. Ling Xiao was filled with murderous intent towards the people from the great Hong ancient country. Ha ha ha. How arrogant. I would like to see how you, a mere level 5 Dragon Tiger Realm martial artist, are qualified to defeat Shi Tian Luo. Hong Sha laughed out loud. Black devil chi rose from his body. There seemed to be a devil light flickering in his eyes. It was dark and evil. A sense of nirvanic extermination spread out. He threw a punch at Ling Xiao. Rumble. The void shook as black demon chi rolled over. The wailing of ghosts and the howling of wolves disturbed one's mind. Extermination Demon Fist. As Hong Sha roared, countless fist shadows appeared in an instant and pressed down on Ling Xiao from the sky. Kill. Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as blood rose from his body. He held the Vajra fist print and used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique. His aura was majestic and his fist force was unparalleled. Bang! When the two fists collided, Ling Xiao did not move an inch while Hong Sha was sent flying by Ling Xiao. However, Hong Sha's figure made a circle in the void and deflected Ling Xiao's divine force at a strange angle. He then charged at Ling Xiao at an even faster speed. Bang! 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 The demon light grew brighter and brighter as Hong Sha's eyes were filled with madness. The extermination demon fist that he cultivated was a heaven-class lower-grade martial skill. It contained the power to exterminate everything and was extremely good at borrowing force to attack force. Therefore, after exchanging a few blows with Ling Xiao, although his physical strength was not as strong as Ling Xiao's, he was able to borrow Ling Xiao's strength to unleash a terrifying force. Kacha! Black thunderbolts swept across the void. Hong Sha's eyes were cold as he looked like a demon god. His black hair was scattered and he was bathed in thunderbolts. He attacked Ling Xiao with the power of the extermination demon fist. Borrowing force to attack force. I am the master of this world. I would like to see how you are going to borrow force. A cold glint flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as his heaven-devouring true qi erupted. The endless demonic qi, gang qi, and blood qi in the void were all devoured by him, forming a vacuum in an instant. The strength of Hong Sha's fist weakened. Ling Xiao seized the opportunity and leaped over. He punched Hong Sha in the back and sent him flying dozens of feet away. He crashed heavily into the rock wall in the distance. Crack! A large chunk of the rock wall was shattered and the ground was trembling. However, A layer of gray light appeared on Hong Sha's body. It was as though nothing had happened. He stood up from the ground. No wonder you were able to defeat Shi Tianluo. I'm afraid you're the only one in the 8 Desolates region who has such terrifying battle prowess at the 5th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. But today, you will still die. Hong Sha's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. However, his battle intent also grew stronger. Moreover, his body was covered by a layer of gray light. It looked like a stone wall that wrapped around him. The aura emanating from Hong Sha's body rose to its limits at this moment. Rumble. Hong Sha broke through the air. The cultivation that erupted from him had exceeded the 5th level of the Grandmaster realm and was heading towards the 6th or 7th level of the Grandmaster realm. Gifted superpower. Ling Xiao was shocked. He did not expect Hong Sha to be a bloodline master. Moreover, he was a demon who had awakened a gifted superpower. This talent was even more terrifying than Shi Tianluo's. Hong Sha's awakened gifted superpower seemed to be a defensive type of superpower. His body was as tough as diamond and indestructible. Just like Ling Xiao's terrifying punch that landed on Hong Sha's body, it did not cause any harm to him. Rumble. Hong Sha strode over like a stone man. Demonic chi surged from his body. With the combination of his gifted superpower and the demonic Nirvana fist, he unleashed a power that terrified everyone. Why is Hong Sha so powerful? Ling Xiao can't defeat him, can he? Li Qingfeng secretly clicked his tongue and his face turned pale. Hong Sha's current appearance was like a demon god. Li Qingfeng's heart palpitated at the sight of him. He did not witness the battle between Ling Xiao and Shi Tianluo, so he could not help but feel a little worried. Don't worry. He won't be defeated. Although Ling Qingqing's eyes were filled with worry, she was still confident in Ling Xiao. She had witnessed the battle between Ling Xiao and Shi Tianluo. Although Hong Sha was powerful, he was only on par with Shi Tianluo or even slightly weaker. Naturally, he was no match for Ling Xiao. Ling Qingqing could feel that Ling Xiao was much more powerful than when he fought Shi Tianluo. Kill them. At this moment, the 6 young geniuses under Hong Sha also charged towards Ling Qingqing and the rest with murderous intent in their eyes. Stellar energy surged and the earth quaked. The entire underground cavern trembled as if it would collapse at any moment. Although Ling Qingqing and the rest tried their best to defend, they were no match for the 6 young geniuses. You're courting death. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. He threw a punch and the golden divine light was dazzling. It was as if a Vajra had descended from the void, emitting golden lightning. He had unleashed the Vajra demon fist to the extreme. What? A young man at LV4 of the Grandmaster realm was scared out of his wits. Sensing the fatal danger, he slashed his saber behind him without hesitation. At the same time, he unleashed all of his Xiantian qi to defend himself. Boom! After cultivating the earth dragon body, how terrifying was Ling Xiao's physical body now? The light in the void exploded and the young man's saber was instantly shattered by Ling Xiao's punch. Then, Ling Xiao's punch landed heavily on the young man's back. Pfft! The young man's back caved in instantly and many of his bones were broken. Blood spurted out of his mouth and his body flew forward involuntarily. Kill! Li Qingfeng, who was suppressed by him, saw the opportunity and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The long sword in his hand instantly slashed across the young man's neck. Instantly, the young man's head flew up and blood spurted out. The remaining 5 young geniuses trembled in fear and looked at Ling Xiao with fear in their eyes. Wasn't this young man too terrifying? When he was fighting with Hong Sha, he could still divert his attention to kill one of them. If Hong Sha wasn't here, he would have killed all of them. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. Ling Xiao's killing of the young man infuriated Hong Sha. He unleashed his innate divine ability. The Nirvana demon fist traversed the void like a demon dragon and blasted towards Ling Xiao. He was not angry because Ling Xiao killed the young man. He was angry because Ling Xiao dared to divert his attention while fighting with him. Ling Xiao was looking down on him. Boom! Hong Sha's punch was extremely fast and landed on Ling Xiao's body in an instant. Endless demon qi erupted and enveloped Ling Xiao. Chapter 270. Ling Xiao was sent flying for more than 100 feet. His internal organs were slightly shaken. One had to admit that after Hong Sha unleashed his innate ability, his combat strength had increased by several folds. It did pose a certain threat to Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao only glanced at him coldly. Taking advantage of the time he was sent flying, he instantly appeared in front of the two geniuses of the Great Flood ancient country. His qi and blood surged, emitting a clear dragon's roar. He punched out with both fists, like two golden dragons emerging from the sea, unstoppable. Although the two geniuses of the Great Hong ancient country had decent combat strength, they were far inferior to Hong Sha. They couldn't even withstand a single move from Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's terrifying physical strength erupted. The two geniuses simply didn't have any chance to resist. In an instant, they were heavily injured and were sent flying while coughing out blood. This allowed Qingqing and Xia Hongxiu to seize the opportunity. They instantly flew up and ended the two geniuses' lives. In an instant, 3 out of the 6 geniuses of the Great Hong ancient country had died in battle. Ling Xiao, I'm going to kill you. Hong Sha was about to go crazy. Smoke was coming out of his mouth and nose. His eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. He fully activated the Nirvana demonic fist. Demonic qi rose up like the sea. A black demonic fist appeared behind him. It emitted an ancient and terrifying aura. It wanted to cause everything in the world to fall into nirvana. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent. His entire body was covered with dazzling golden clouds. A golden vortex appeared behind his head. At this moment, the earth trembled. 4 types of terrifying power spread out from Ling Xiao's body. The earth was heavy, the sea was turbulent, the astral winds were devastating, and the raging flames were surging. The power of the 4 symbols fused together and condensed in Ling Xiao's palm. It erupted with a power that could destroy the sky. 4 symbols sky-striking style. This move was sublimated to the extreme. In an instant, more than half of Ling Xiao's power was used to suppress Hong Sha. Nirvana demonic fist vs 4 symbols sky-striking style. Rumble. In an instant, the heavens and earth went silent. The huge rocks in the surroundings all exploded at this moment. Everywhere was a vast expanse of whiteness, covering everything. When the light dissipated, the layer of gray stone wall on Hong Sha's body actually cracked like a spider web with a cracking sound, and it instantly shattered. As for the black demonic fist, it was also reduced to dust by the divine light of 4 divisions. Hong Sha's face paled as he coughed up blood. He smashed heavily into the ground, leaving behind a human-shaped crater. His aura became extremely weak. Even though Ling Qingqing and Xia Hongxiu had seen Ling Xiao defeat Shi Tianluo before, they were still shocked when they saw Ling Xiao execute the 4 elephant sky-striking style again. Li Qingfeng, on the other hand, was dumbfounded. He looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of admiration. Lu Feng and Lu Yun were still very shy. Their eyes were filled with shock, but there was also an indescribable feeling in them. Young Master Hong, are you all right? The remaining 3 young geniuses were also scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao. How could they still have the will to fight? They hurriedly ran over and helped Hong Sha up. Cough cough. I'm fine. Hong Sha said with some difficulty. His eyes were filled with shock as he looked at Ling Xiao. His gifted superpower was called the Bronze Battle Body. Although he had not cultivated to the point where he was invincible and invincible, he had already tried it. If he fully activated the Bronze Battle Body, even a level 9 Grandmaster expert would find it difficult to break through it. This was where his confidence came from. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to break through it with a single punch. The power that Ling Xiao unleashed in an instant made him feel as though an expert of the celestial realm was attacking him. The unparalleled divine power that surged in all directions and suppressed everything sent chills down his spine. Bang! Ling Xiao strode towards Hong Sha. The murderous intent in his eyes was extremely cold. Hong Sha's face instantly turned ghastly pale. He realized that he had underestimated Ling Xiao. Now that he was in danger, perhaps everyone in Hong ancient country would die here. However, at this moment, an evil, dark, and strange aura spread out. From the depths of the underground karst cave, a strange black fog surged out. It was like the huge mouth of an archaean ferocious beast, swallowing everyone. Shit! Ling Xiao's face changed drastically. He instantly thought of the terrifying strange creature in the depths of the karst cave. Let's go. Ling Xiao's body flashed. He could not care less about killing Hong Sha. In an instant, he stood behind Ling Qingqing and the rest. He unleashed his devouring true qi and activated the wordless heavenly book to block the strange black fog. What's that? Li Qingfeng and the rest's expressions changed. Although they did not know what this strange black fog was, they could feel a terrifying wave of energy coming from it. The strange black fog was fatal to them. When they heard Ling Xiao's words, they did not hesitate at all. All of them leaped and tried to escape from the underground karst cave. This is a good chance. Hong Sha originally thought that he was going to die. He did not expect such a sudden change of events. Ling Xiao no longer cared about killing him. He immediately escaped from the underground karst cave with the other 3 youths from Hong ancient country. Roar! Roar! A terrifying sound wave came from the depths of the karst cave. It contained a terrifying power that could cause one's blood to boil and one's heart to explode. Ling Xiao's face was extremely solemn. Could it be that the terrifying creature underground had broken free from the suppression of the universal demon suppression array and was about to come out? However, Ling Xiao instinctively felt that it was impossible. He was very clear about the power of the universal demon suppression array. Although the strange creature was very terrifying, it was impossible for it to break free now. Something must have happened that Ling Xiao did not know about. Whoosh! Seeing that Ling Qingqing and the rest had safely escaped from the underground karst cave, Ling Xiao no longer resisted the strange black fog. He instantly turned into a ray of golden light and flew out of the underground karst cave. Outside Gemini Mountain, Ling Qingqing and the rest were waiting anxiously. When they saw Ling Xiao appear, they heaved a sigh of relief. Ling Xiao, we did not manage to stop Hong Sha and the rest. They escaped. Qingfeng said embarrassedly. After all, Hong Sha had been severely injured by Ling Xiao. The other 3 geniuses from Hong ancient country did not have high cultivation. If they could not stop them, they were too useless. It's okay. If we have the chance to kill them in the future, we will leave this place quickly. Ling Xiao looked at the Gemini Mountain behind him with a solemn gaze. His heart was shrouded in a layer of shadow. He could not care about Hong Sha anymore. He quickly led Qingfeng, Ling Qingqing and the rest into the distance. Rumble. In the 8 desolate mystery region, the originally dark sky suddenly exploded with the sound of thunder. Endless strong winds howled and the sea of clouds surged. 2 mysterious beams of light, one black and one white, rushed into the sky, forming the shape of a mysterious taiji diagram in the void. The Yin-Yang Valley is open. Ling Qingqing's eyes flashed. She instantly revealed a look of incomparable joy. The black and white divine rays in the void were the rising of Yin and Yang Qi. It would only appear when the Yin-Yang Valley was open. Let's go. Chapter 271. In the center of the 8 Desolation secret territory, there were 4 towering mountains that pierced through the clouds, exuding a majestic and ancient aura. In the center of the 4 mountains, there was a huge valley that was shrouded in clouds, looking peaceful and mysterious. At this moment, the clouds in the valley were rolling, and black and white divine light shot out from the ground, shooting into the clouds and forming a huge Tai Chi diagram in the void. This valley was the Yin-Yang Valley. In the Yin-Yang Valley, there was an ancient Yin-Yang pool. It looked square, with a radius of 1,000 feet, and was shrouded in clouds all year round. At this moment, the Yin-Yang pool was filled with spiritual light, and Yin and Yang Qi flowed within, looking very mysterious. When Ling Xiao and Ling Qingqing arrived at the Yin-Yang Valley, they saw that there were already many people in the Yin-Yang pool. On the east side were Huang Yunji, Sun Feng, and the people from the Great Huang ancient country. In the mustard seed formation at the Immortality Peach Tree, 4 people from the Great Huang ancient country died in the stomach of the long-armed giant ape, so there were only 5 people left. On the west side were Ji Shuiyao and the people from the Great Xian ancient country. Originally, there were 9 people, but 2 were dead, leaving 7 people. They were all sitting in the Yin-Yang pool, absorbing the Yin and Yang baleful qi. Hung Sha and the other 3 were sitting on the north side, surrounded by the Yin and Yang baleful qi, and their auras were gradually increasing. Ling Xiao also saw Chen Fengdao and Tang Xian in the corner, as well as the arrogant young man who acted alone. They were all in the Yin-Yang pool, racing against time to cultivate. Other than those who died in the 8 Desolation secret territory, everyone else had gathered in the Yin-Yang Valley. In comparison, Ling Xiao and the others were the last to arrive. He's still alive. The arrival of Ling Xiao and the others alarmed the people in the Yin-Yang pool. Huang Yunji and Sun Feng's eyes revealed a trace of shock, and their faces turned ugly. Especially Sun Feng, who had tricked Ling Xiao and sealed the mustard seed formation. He originally thought that Ling Xiao had died in the hands of the long-armed ape king, but he came out unscathed. Don't worry about him. Let's absorb the Yin and Yang baleful qi first. When my cultivation is complete, it will be time for him to die. Sun Feng looked at Huang Yunji and said slowly. Huang Yunji nodded and closed his eyes again, continuing to refine the Yin-Yang evil qi in the Yin-Yang pool. When Hung Sha, Chen Fengdao, Tang Xian, and the others saw Ling Xiao, their eyes flickered with cold murderous intent. However, they soon withdrew their murderous intent. Their figures were submerged in the Yin and Yang baneful qi, and they did not do anything. Only Ji Shuiyao and the others were pleasantly surprised. They were the most worried about Ling Xiao. Now that Ling Xiao had come out of the mustard seed array, they were relieved. Don't worry about me. First, refine the Yin-Yang baleful qi and cultivate. Ling Xiao sent a voice transmission to Ji Shuiyao and smiled at her. Ji Shuiyao nodded her head. She looked at Ling Xiao, then at Xia Hongxiu and Ling Qingqing. She closed her eyes and continued to cultivate. Let's make the best use of our time and cultivate. Ling Xiao led Ling Qingqing, Li Qingfeng, and the rest into the Yin-Yang pond and sat cross-legged on the southern side. The Yin-Yang baleful qi in the Yin-Yang Valley was the essence of heaven and earth. It contained the power of creation. Not only could it cleanse one's marrow, it could also help one achieve breakthroughs in cultivation. However, the Yin-Yang Valley would only be open for 3 days. After 3 days, the Yin-Yang baleful qi that had accumulated over the past 10 years would be exhausted. Therefore, no matter how great their hatred was, everyone put down their grudges and focused on absorbing the Yin-Yang baleful qi. The black Yin-Yang baleful qi and the white Yang baleful qi intertwined, containing a strange power. They did not need to expend any effort to refine it. As long as they used their cultivation techniques to absorb it, they would be able to convert it into their own cultivation. Ling Xiao sat in the Yin-Yang pool, feeling the ethereal Yin-Yang baleful qi around him. He was excited. I've finally found a place of extreme Yang and Yin. As long as I refine the divine Yin essence and divine sunstone, Yin and Yang will complement each other. The heaven-devouring spiritual seed will be able to nurture the heaven-devouring golden lotus, and the heaven-devouring secret skill will be able to break through to the second level. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a look of anticipation. He had obtained the divine Yin essence and divine sunstone in the royal capital. However, he had not found a place of extreme yin and yang. That was why he had not broken through. Now that the yin-yang pool was filled with yin-yang baleful qi, it was boundless. With the divine yin essence and divine sun stone, it was the best time for Ling Xiao to break through. Boom! Ling Xiao's entire body emitted a powerful aura. Golden divine light pervaded the air and coiled around his body. Moreover, there were mysterious runes that emitted a bright light. The heaven-devouring secret skill exploded. Ling Xiao seemed to have turned into a devouring vortex. A large amount of yin-yang baleful qi began to surge towards him. In Ling Xiao's energy center, the heaven-devouring spiritual seed emitted a five-colored light. It was like a bright sun, floating in the air above his energy center. It was extremely mysterious. At this moment, under Ling Xiao's control, the heaven-devouring spiritual seed shone brightly. Thousands of rays of light shone brightly. The yin-yang baleful qi was devoured by Ling Xiao. Finally, it gathered around the heaven-devouring spiritual seed, forming a mysterious Tai Chi diagram. The Tai Chi diagram supported the heaven-devouring spiritual seed. Vaguely, it seemed like the heaven-devouring spiritual seed was about to merge into the Tai Chi diagram. As Ling Xiao devoured more and more of the yin-yang baleful qi, the heaven-devouring spirit seed's aura grew stronger and stronger. The five elemental divine light flowed and formed a mysterious resonance with the Taiji diagram, causing the sea of qi in his dantian to surge. Chaotic mist filled the air and golden lightning flashed. Ling Xiao's energy center seemed to be splitting the world apart. Endless heaven-devouring true qi surged and waves of qi rose to the sky. Now's the time. Ling Xiao's heart shook. The divine yin essence and divine sun stone flew out from the longevity ring. They turned into two rays of light and were devoured by Ling Xiao in an instant. In the yin-yang pool, yin-yang baleful qi flowed. The light was dazzling and there were explosions of yin-yang baleful qi. It was a shocking scene. Everyone was in a state of cultivation. They only left a strand of their consciousness to guard against Ling Xiao. Since Ling Xiao caused a small commotion, no one paid attention to him. Ling Qingqing, Li Qingfeng, the Lu siblings and the rest sat cross-legged in the distance. Their bodies were enveloped by the yin-yang baleful qi. They were all working hard to improve their cultivation. Boom! In Ling Xiao's dantian qi sea, there was a sudden clap of thunder, and chaotic fog surged. After Ling Xiao swallowed the divine sun stone and the divine moon essence, the true devouring fire burned fiercely, melting the two treasures in an instant. The divine yin essence and divine sun stone represented the two supreme treasures of yin and yang. Especially the divine sun stone. Even the sun-moon star sect did not have many of them. It was formed from the essence of the sun and contained the laws of yang. Chapter 272. Buzz. Everything in the world carried yin and embraced yang. After the divine essence of sun and the divine essence of sun merged into his dantian qi si, the illusory Taiji diagram instantly solidified as if it had taken a great tonic. A mysterious wave spread out. The balance between the sky-devouring spiritual seed and the Taiji diagram was instantly broken. The sky-devouring spiritual seed was directly wrapped by the Taiji diagram. Rumble. In Ling Xiao's dantian qi si, the sky-devouring qi was surging. As the evil qi of yin and yang was devoured, it became more violent. A mysterious force of yin and yang flowed in Ling Xiao's blood vessels. It began to cleanse his bones and fill up his life source. This was an evolution of life level. The mystery of the sky-devouring secret skill flashed in Ling Xiao's mind and turned into an indescribable power of law. He began to comprehend it. After Ling Xiao swallowed and refined the evil qi of yin and yang, his blood vessels began to be contaminated with yin and yang qi. The power of the earth dragon body became stronger and stronger. It was about to reach a limit. Shrouded in yin and yang qi and bathed in golden light, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the yin-yang pool. His black hair fluttered in the wind. With a faint smile on his face, he exuded a mysterious and transcendent temperament. There was no need to look with the naked eye. It was as if Ling Xiao had already disappeared from this world. His entire being was untainted by the dust of the mortal world. He was like a young divine king, with the appearance of a divine being. Ling Xiao's aura returned to normal. A large amount of yin and yang qi was devoured by him. A mysterious wave spread out. Ling Xiao's body was undergoing the most mysterious transformation. Hong Sha was seriously injured by Ling Xiao in the underground karst cave. However, in the yin-yang pool, after devouring the yin and yang qi, his injuries began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. His aura became stronger and stronger. A day later, a powerful wave spread out. Hong Sha's cultivation had reached LV6 of the Supreme Power Realm. The yin and yang qi of yin and yang is indeed wonderful. At this speed, I am confident that I can break through to LV7 of the Supreme Power Realm in 3 days. Hong Sha's eyes revealed a trace of excitement. There was a barrier between LV6 and LV7 of the Supreme Power Realm. If he cultivated at a normal speed, it would take him at least half a year to break through. But now, under the influence of the yin and yang qi of yin and yang, his cultivation speed had increased by hundreds of times. Furthermore, Hong Sha sensed that after refining the yin-yang baneful aura, his innate ability was beginning to transform towards greater mastery. The gray light on his body was gradually turning bronze. When Hong Sha became bronze, his bronze battle body would be able to complete bronze battle body. With the bronze battle body at the grand completion stage, his fists could shatter mountains, his feet could split the heavenly river, and he could overturn rivers and seas. His power was unparalleled, and his defense was almost invincible. Hong Sha was LV. Ling Xiao, you will die when my bronze battle body is fully developed. Hong Xiao, you can only be mine. Hong Sha glanced at Ling Xiao coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Boom. Hong Sha wasn't the only one. After cultivating in the yin-yang pool for a day, Wang Yunji, Ji Shuiyao, Chen Fengdao, and the others all felt the aura of a breakthrough. The main benefit of cultivating in the yin-yang pool was not to increase one's cultivation, but to cleanse one's bones and improve one's talent. Li Qingfeng broke through to LV3 of the Supreme Power Realm. Xia Hongxiu's talent was the most terrifying. She was like a tiger that had grown wings in the yin-yang pool. She broke through 2 levels in 1 day and reached LV3 of the Supreme Power Realm. Moreover, after breaking through to LV3 of the Master Realm, Xia Hongxiu's body emitted a mysterious aura. She was surrounded by a layer of blazing aura, and a mysterious mark faintly appeared between her eyebrows. Qing Qing's cultivation had broken through to LV4 of the Supreme Power Realm. Only the Lu siblings did not break through, although their aura was also increasing. Just when everyone was ready to continue breaking through, there was a change in the yin-yang pool. Boom! There was a sudden clap of thunder in the void and the entire yin-yang pool began to boil. The yin and yang qi surged violently and mysterious rays of light scattered. They began to gather crazily and turned into a huge vortex in the yin-yang pool. Everyone felt that there was no way to refine the yin and yang qi anymore because all of it was taken away by the mysterious force. It was like a bottomless pit that began to devour everything. What's going on? The expressions of Chen Fengdao, Hong Sha, and the others changed drastically. Their eyes were filled with bewilderment. Especially Hong Sha. His bronze battle body was about to reach the great completion realm. When that time came, he would be able to defeat everyone and suppress all the geniuses. However, all of a sudden, the yin and yang qi was taken away by someone. He would feel terrible if he was killed. However, when they saw the huge whirlpool clearly, their noses became crooked from anger. The yin and yang qi flowed like 2 divine dragons, one black and one white. They formed a terrifying vortex in the middle of the yin-yang pool. All of the yin and yang qi surged towards a figure. That figure was like a bottomless pit. His aura was ethereal. The black vortex surged and devoured all of the yin and yang qi. That person was Ling Xiao. Everyone had just tasted the sweetness of refining the yin and yang qi, but Ling Xiao had already taken it away. This was worse than killing them. At Ling Xiao's speed, wouldn't all of the yin and yang qi be devoured by him? Ling Xiao's black hair fluttered in the wind. His whole body was shrouded in golden light. His face was peaceful and he was smiling. He looked like a smiling Buddha. He looked extremely mysterious. In Ling Xiao's Dantian Qi Si, the Tai Chi diagram had merged with the heaven-devouring spiritual seed. It faintly emitted a seven-colored light. It was enveloped by the heaven-devouring fire. Boom! Endless yin and yang qi was devoured by Ling Xiao and integrated into the Tai Chi diagram. Even the heaven-devouring true qi in his Dantian Qi Si began to burn. It seemed to have turned into a world of fire. In the blazing flames, a golden light flickered. The Tai Chi diagram was filled with chaotic mist. The golden light was dazzling. One could vaguely see a golden lotus growing. The power of the five elements filled the air. The yin and yang qi flowed. In the chaotic mist, it was extremely peaceful. However, there was a trace of terrifying power in the golden lotus. It seemed to be able to destroy the heavens. It contained the mysterious power of laws. At this moment, Ling Xiao's cultivation also began to skyrocket. Initial Stage 5 Dragon Tiger Realm, Intermediate Stage 5 Dragon Tiger Realm, Late Stage 5 Dragon Tiger Realm, Complete Stage 5 Dragon Tiger Realm. 6th Dragon Tiger Realm. Ling Xiao's cultivation, which was originally calm, was rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 273. Damn it! Ling Xiao has devoured all the yin-yang baleful qi. What should we do? Huang Yunji looked at Sun Feng with a gloomy face. Sun Feng's eyes were cold and his heart was filled with anger. He was about to break through, but all the yin-yang baleful qi was taken away. He was going crazy. Ling Xiao was sitting in the yin-yang pool, forgetting about everything around him. The yin-yang baleful qi surged towards his body. His cultivation was rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone was awakened by the commotion caused by Ling Xiao. They all stood up from the yin-yang pond and looked at Ling Xiao in shock. This kid. How can he be so abnormal? Hong Sha was shocked and angry. He could see that Ling Xiao's aura was getting stronger and stronger. In just a few moments, his cultivation had risen from Dragon Tiger Realm Level 5 to Dragon Tiger Realm Level 6. Boom! Dragon Tiger Realm Level 7. A peerlessly violent aura swept out in all directions, and all the yin and yang baleful qi was like the heavenly river flowing backwards, being swallowed by the terrifying vortex and transforming into a part of Ling Xiao's cultivation. Kill him. We can't let him continue to improve. Otherwise, we'll be finished when he wakes up. Sun Feng said coldly. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. He felt uneasy. Ling Xiao was too strange. When Ling Xiao was at Dragon Tiger Realm Level 5, he was already on par with him. Now that Ling Xiao's cultivation was getting higher, he might surpass him in the end. Sun Feng knew that he had tricked Ling Xiao once. The two of them were irreconcilable enemies. Moreover, he had the mission of killing Ling Xiao. He couldn't let Ling Xiao live. As the saying goes, take his life when he's weak. Now was the best chance to kill Ling Xiao. Sun Feng and Huang Yunji looked at each other and rushed towards Ling Xiao with killing intent in their eyes. Hong Sha and the rest of the people from the Great Hong ancient country also rushed towards Ling Xiao under his lead. What are you doing? Qingqing's expression changed. She immediately stood in front of Ling Xiao with Qingfeng, Xia Hongxiu and the rest. Sun Feng, Hong Sha, do you really want to fight in the Yin-Yang Valley? Ji Shuiyao's eyes flashed. She quickly led the people from the Great Xian ancient country to confront Sun Feng, Hong Sha, and the rest. Get out of my way. I'll kill anyone who tries to stop me today. Sun Fang's eyes were filled with coldness and bloodlust. The soul-chasing spear in his hand flashed with a sharp light. His entire body exuded a monstrous killing intent as he charged forward. This was a celestial realm expert. Even if his cultivation was suppressed in the 8 desolate secret land and he could only unleash the combat strength of a LV9 supreme power realm expert, he was still not someone the group of people in front of them could withstand. Ji Shuiyao's and Ling Qingqing's expressions changed when they sensed the powerful aura. Now is the critical moment of Ling Xiao's breakthrough. We must not let him disturb Ling Xiao. Determination flashed through Ling Qingqing's eyes. A resplendent sword appeared in her hand as she charged towards Sun Feng. Attack together. Ji Shuiyao also gritted her teeth and exuded a sharp sword energy. She led the grand mysterious ancient kingdom's people forward. They all knew that this was a life and death battle. Everyone was racing against time to kill each other. It depended on whether Sun Feng would be the first to break through the blockade and kill Ling Xiao, or whether Ling Qingqing and the rest would block Sun Feng and wait for Ling Xiao to wake up. Young Master Chen, should we attack? Tang Exine glanced at Chen Fengdao and asked carefully. Chen Fengdao's gaze fell on Ling Xiao in the distance. He was a little uncertain. In just a short while, Ling Xiao's cultivation had risen to LV8 Dragon Tiger realm. For some reason, even though Chen Fengdao had refined the bone of the Heavenly Saber King and his cultivation had risen to LV5 Supreme Power Realm, he was still very nervous. It was as if there was a fatal danger on Ling Xiao. If he dared to act rashly, he would definitely die without a burial place. We won't attack. Wait. Chen Fengdao gritted his teeth and said. If Sun Feng could kill Ling Xiao in the end, it would make no difference whether he attacked or not. However, if Sun Feng couldn't kill Ling Xiao, it would be useless even if he attacked. Therefore, he chose to bide his time. As for the cold-looking young man sent by the first prince, a strange black light flashed in his eyes when he saw everyone fighting. His figure slowly sank into the yin-yang pool, and no one noticed him at all. Boom! The soul-chasing spear emitted a monstrous killing intent. It swept across the sky and formed a huge black spear shadow in the void. It was like a collapsing pillar that suppressed Ling Qingqing, Ji Shuiyao, and the rest. Under the soul-chasing spear, all the sword radiance, sword energy, and innate protective energy were shattered. A terrifying aura swept across the surroundings, causing Ling Qingqing, Ji Shuiyao, and the rest to cough up blood and retreat. There was no helping it. The gap between them was too big. Ling Qingqing, Ji Shuiyao, and the rest were geniuses, but Sun Feng was a celestial realm expert. With a sweep of his spear, they were all sent flying. Ling Xiao, go to hell. Sun Feng's eyes were burning with killing intent. The soul-chasing spear in his hand trembled slightly and turned into a black flowing light that swept across the sky toward Ling Xiao. No! Stop! Ling Qingqing, Ji Shuiyao, and the rest were shocked. They struggled to stop Sun Feng, but they were blocked by Hong Sha, Huang Yunji, and the rest in an instant. There was no way for them to take a step forward. Boom! At this moment, Lu Feng and Lu Yun, who were beside Ling Xiao, moved. A dark and cold aura was emitted from their bodies. The shyness on their faces faded, and they became cold and indifferent. A blue dagger appeared in their hands. One from the left and the other from the right, they stabbed toward Ling Xiao's heart and head. The sudden turn of events stunned everyone. No one had expected the Lu siblings of the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom to suddenly attack Ling Xiao. The aura on their bodies was cold and strange. Their cultivation had reached LV9 of the Grandmaster realm in an instant. The two daggers emitted a blue light, which was obviously dipped in poison. The Lu siblings and Sun Feng, 3 LV9 experts of the Grandmaster realm, attacked at the same time. How could Ling Xiao, who was still cultivating, resist? Qing Qing, Xia Hongxiu, Ji Shuiyao, and the rest turned pale in an instant. The two daggers and the soul-chasing spear pierced toward Ling Xiao's head, heart, and glabella respectively. They were as fast as lightning, leaving no chance for people to react. Clang! The sound of metal clashing was heard. The daggers and the soul-chasing spear arrived one after another. However, when they came within an inch of Ling Xiao's body, they could not move forward anymore. It was as if there was a layer of transparent bounded domain that emitted a faint light. What? Sun Feng and the Lu siblings were shocked. No matter how they urged the daggers and the soul-chasing spear, they could not cause any harm to Ling Xiao. It should be known that when 3 LV9 experts of the Grandmaster realm attacked with all their strength, even a celestial realm expert would die, let alone Ling Xiao. Chapter 274. Rumble. A blazing aura emanated from Ling Xiao's body. In an instant, a raging inferno was set ablaze. It emitted a mysterious seven-colored light which distorted the void. It contained a terrifying power that could burn the heavens and destroy the earth. The yin-yang pool began to boil, and a terrifying aura spread out. A golden lotus appeared on Ling Xiao's body. Golden light filled the air, and divine chains of order intertwined. They traversed the void and swept toward the dagger and the soul-chasing spear in the void. Boom! Terrifying flames spread out. The dagger and the soul-chasing spear were powerful treasured weapons, but at this moment, they began to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye. The Lu siblings and Sun Feng both let out a muffled snort at the same time and retreated. Only when my life is in my hands can I plant a golden lotus in the fire. A faint sigh came from Ling Xiao's mouth. At this moment, he opened his eyes. Two blazing divine lights traversed the void, exuding endless majesty and mystery. The golden lotus swirled in the yin-yang pool, and instantly swept away all the yin-yang evil qi. Then, Ling Xiao swallowed it in one gulp. Ling Xiao stood up in the yin-yang pool. It was as if the entire world began to tremble. A vast force pressed down on the crowd, causing their hearts to tremble uncontrollably. Ling Xiao's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. The underworld has indeed not given up on their evil intentions. It must have been hard on you two golden assassins to hold back for so long before making a move. Ling Xiao's gaze fell on Lu Feng and Lu Yun as he spoke calmly. Assassins from the underworld? Qing Qing and the rest trembled as they looked at Lu Feng and Lu Yun in disbelief. These two were famous young geniuses in the imperial capital. How could the children of the current prime minister be golden assassins from the underworld? Lu Feng stared fixedly at Ling Xiao and said, "How did you tell?" "We've disguised ourselves well. Even a celestial realm elite would not be able to discover us." Ling Xiao said calmly, "I don't know Lu Feng and Lu Yun very well, but I know that they are very outgoing in front of people they know even though they are shy. Coincidentally, Princess Hongxiu is their good friend. However, the two of you have been too shy along the way. Plus, Sister Qingqing and Li Qingfeng were heavily injured in the underground cave. Only the two of you, although you look like a mess, were unharmed. No matter how hard you try to hide, it's hard to change the habits of an assassin." Lu Yun's face was very cold, but there was a trace of shock in his eyes. He said, "Just this alone is probably insufficient to determine that we're assassins from the underworld, right?" "Of course not, that's why I'm just suspecting." "Now, didn't you jump out yourselves?" Ling Xiao sneered. However, Ling Xiao was very alert. He could tell that Lu Feng and Lu Yun were assassins from the underworld not just because of those two reasons. The main reason was that after his spiritual power had broken through to the level of a peerless alchemy master, he sensed a very subtle aura from Lu Feng and Lu Yun. It was exactly the same as the assassins from the underworld that Ling Xiao had encountered. However, Lu Feng and Lu Yun were both at level 9 of the Grandmaster realm. Ling Xiao was not confident that he could take them down and was also afraid that he would accidentally hurt Ling Qingqing and the rest. That was why he waited for them to give themselves away. "Ling Xiao, no matter what, you're going to die today." Sun Feng's eyes were cold as he exuded a powerful aura that suppressed Ling Xiao. There was shock in his heart, but there was also a hint of greed in his eyes. Ling Xiao had swallowed the yin and yang murderous aura so quickly, and his cultivation level had broken through from the 5th level of the Dragon Tiger realm to the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. He must have a great treasure on him, or he must have cultivated an exceptional godly technique. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, the treasure on him would be his. No matter what, he could not let Ling Xiao walk out alive today. Ling Xiao, Xia Hongxiu is mine. That's why you have to die. Hong Sha sneered as well. His eyes were filled with a frenzied murderous intent. His body exuded a bronze radiance that gave people a strong sense of oppression. Although his bronze combat body had not reached the phenomenal level, it was much stronger than before. Now, he was confident that even if Ling Xiao performed the 4 elephants hitting the sky again, he would be able to take it. Lu Feng, Lu Yun, Sun Feng, and Hong Sha surrounded Ling Xiao. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Their goal was clear, and that was to kill Ling Xiao. In the face of these 4 powerhouses who had the combat strength of LV9 of the Grandmaster realm, Ling Xiao was not afraid at all. Instead, his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Although the long-armed ape king might be able to get rid of the 4 of them quickly, Ling Xiao still wanted to do it himself. After cultivating level 2 of the heaven-devouring secret skill, condensing the heaven-devouring golden lotus, and reaching level 9 of the dragon tiger realm, Ling Xiao wanted to see how strong his current combat strength was. To Ling Xiao's surprise, Chen Fengdao remained silent and did not attack him. If that's the case, all of you can come at me together. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were gleaming, and his white robe fluttered in the wind. Golden clouds surrounded his body, and he exuded an invincible aura. Although Ji Shuiyao and the rest were worried, they could see Ling Xiao's determination. Therefore, they did not help him but slowly retreated from the yin-yang pool. After all, this battle was beyond their ability to interfere. If they were to help, they would only be a burden to Ling Xiao. Arrogant. Sun Feng snorted. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized. With a flash of light in his hand, a black golden battle spear appeared. He was exuding a fierce aura. Ling Xiao, don't blame others if you're courting death. Hong Sha sneered and took the initiative to attack. Although his cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Supreme Power Realm, he had practiced the demonic fist of Nirvana, a heaven-level inferior martial art. Moreover, he had awakened the bronze battle body, which made his combat strength unparalleled. Even an expert at the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm would find it difficult to break his bronze battle body. Although Ling Xiao's 4 elephants hitting the sky was terrifying, Hong Sha was confident that he would be able to defeat him with the improvement of his cultivation and the evolution of his bronze combat body. Boom! Hong Sha threw out a punch. The void shook slightly, and endless demonic chi surged. The fist essence exuded a vast killing intent and suppressed Ling Xiao. Kill! Sun Feng also shouted. The black golden battle spear in his hand buzzed and vibrated. Strands of black light intertwined and instantly traversed the void, piercing toward Ling Xiao's glabella. Lu Feng and Lu Yun did not attack. Their figures were like ghosts, trembling slightly in the void. The murderous intent in their bodies intertwined, and they were looking for a chance to kill. Chapter 275. Boom! Ling Xiao threw out a punch and lightning surged in the void. The golden heaven-devouring true chi surged across the sky like a huge wave and swept away the surging demonic chi in an instant. Bang! Ling Xiao and Hong Sha hit each other with their fists. Although Hong Sha's conception of nirvana was very strong, it couldn't break through Ling Xiao's fist aura. There was a huge vibration in the void. Ling Xiao didn't move, but Hong Sha was blown away by Ling Xiao as if he was struck by lightning. The black golden battle spear emitted an ominous demonic chi and its speed was extremely fast. The soul-chasing spear art was famous for its speed. It could kill people without them noticing. Especially when Ling Xiao and Hong Sha collided, Sun Feng found the weak qi. The black golden battle spear pierced through the void and came to the back of Ling Xiao's head. The unparalleled sharpness sent chills down one's spine. Clang! Ling Xiao did not look back. He threw out a palm blade that contained a destructive force. It hit the black golden battle spear. Suddenly, there was a flash of light. Ling Xiao's monstrous divine power passed through the black golden battle spear to Sun Feng's arm. Sun Feng's arm went numb and the battle spear almost flew out of his hand. Swoosh swoosh. Ling Xiao's body was extremely fast. He moved freely in the void and fought with Hong Sha and Sun Feng with his bare fists. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Hong Sha and Sun Feng were getting more and more shocked. They had attacked at the same time but they were still at a disadvantage. Looking at Ling Xiao, it seemed that he still had some strength left. Even if his cultivation had increased by a few levels, how could this young man's combat strength increase so quickly? Heaven and earth grieve, demonic fists suppressing the world. Hong Sha's eyes were filled with madness. He suddenly roared and a terrifying demonic qi was emitted from his body. Endless demonic qi surged and turned into a blood-red color. It was as if the sky was crying blood. A terrifying demonic god appeared in the world and wreaked havoc. Hong Sha threw out a punch and the demonic qi surged. It formed a huge demonic fist in the void. It was like a divine mountain, emitting a monstrous demonic qi and pressing down on Ling Xiao. Tian-class martial arts contained a trace of the power of law. Hong Sha's demonic fist suppressed the heaven and earth. Facing this fist, Ling Xiao could only take it head-on. There was no way he could dodge it. Today, I'm going to break your tortoiseshell. Ling Xiao sneered as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Roar! The blood qi around Ling Xiao soared into the sky, turning into a golden divine dragon that coiled around his body. It was as if the power of an ancient ferocious beast had been awakened. Ling Xiao pushed the earth dragon constitution to the extreme. From the Yin-Yang Valley, an endless amount of Xianhuang earth energy surged towards Ling Xiao. It was thick and ancient. Ling Xiao looked up at the sky and was in high spirits. The power of the earth dragon body was fully unleashed. He was like an erupting volcano as he threw a punch at the Hong Sha in the sky. Rumble! The mountain-like demonic fist and the golden divine dragon collided in the void. It was like a sun had exploded, spewing out endless light. The demonic qi and the golden light were annihilated, but the golden divine dragon was still pressing down on the flood demon. Good chance. Sun Feng's eyes flashed, and he caught a glimpse of Ling Xiao's chaotic qi. The black gold battle spear in his hand trembled slightly, and a terrifying sharpness erupted. He held the black gold battle spear in his hand and formed a mysterious connection with the battle spear. It pierced through the void like a huge divine spear and shot straight toward Ling Xiao. Man and spear unite, soul-chasing spear skill. This was the man and spear unite that Sun Feng had comprehended. Once he unleashed the power of the man and spear unite, his battle strength would be multiplied, and his power would be unparalleled. Even an expert of the celestial realm would die without a doubt. The two sisters, Lu Feng and Lu Yun, found this opportunity at the same time. Killing intent flashed in their eyes, and they took action. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two obscure figures flew, leaving a trace of faint afterimages in the void. Their auras were extremely weak, but the two daggers in their hands were like two poisonous snakes, trembling slightly and aiming at the vital parts of Ling Xiao's body. Rumble! Above the void, Ling Xiao's punch, which was like a peerless war god, actually missed. Hong Sha only left behind an afterimage. With a flash of light in the void, Hong Sha actually appeared behind Ling Xiao in an extremely strange manner. Ling Xiao, go to hell. The Hong Sha's bronze battle body shone brightly. His arms were like iron chains, and he suddenly hugged Ling Xiao. Unparalleled divine power burst out and completely bound Ling Xiao. Just now, he pretended to fight Ling Xiao with his life, but in fact, it was just a smokescreen. After he performed the demonic fist of Nirvana, he took advantage of the dazzling light to directly teleport behind Ling Xiao with a secret treasure that could teleport him. What he wanted to do was to completely bind Ling Xiao, so as to give Sun Feng and the two ace assassins of the Netherworld a chance. The bronze battle body burst out, and an ancient and boundless power flowed in the Hong Sha's body. It was like the power of heaven and earth, and even Ling Xiao could not break free for a moment. Sun Feng, Lu Feng, and Lu Yun had already arrived in front of him. What? Ji Shuiyao and Ling Qingqing were shocked, and their faces turned pale in an instant. They did not expect the Hong Sha to be so insidious. Ling Xiao was already in a desperate situation. How could he resist the killing blow of 3 experts of the LV9 Supreme Master Realm? Ling Xiao is dead. A trace of coldness appeared in Qin Fengdao's eyes. Although he was a little regretful that Ling Xiao did not die in his hands, this despicable guy was finally dead. No. Young Master Chen, look. Tang Xian's expression suddenly changed, and his voice trembled as he pointed to the void. Chen Fengdao immediately looked over. In the void, Sun Feng and Lu Yun performed the human spear unity, and Lu Feng and Lu Yun performed their unique assassination skills. They wanted to kill Ling Xiao when the Hong Sha restrained him. However, at this moment, just like before, when the black gold battle spear and dagger came within an inch of Ling Xiao's body, they strangely stopped in their tracks, as if they were blocked by a transparent barrier. Idiots! I wanted to play with you for a while, but since you are so eager to die, I will fulfill your wish. 5 elements sky sealing style, seal the 5 elements, suppress heaven and earth, kill. Ling Xiao's eyes showed a trace of mockery. Looking at the pale faces of Sun Feng and the others, he instantly roared. Boom! With Ling Xiao as the center, a vast divine light storm swept out. White, green, black, red, and yellow divine light shot up to the sky like pillars, forming a huge barrier around Ling Xiao. Chapter 276. Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring secret skill had reached the 2nd level. After condensing the heaven-devouring golden lotus, the heaven-devouring secret skill had many mysterious changes. More importantly, Ling Xiao could practice the 2nd and 3rd moves of the 7 limits divine skills of devouring heaven and destroying earth. The 2nd move, Heaven Sealing 5 Elements Style. The heaven sealing formation was constructed with the origin of the 5 elements. It could hide one's aura, seal an expert, build an absolute defense, absorb all energy and dharma, and create an absolute vacuum. Just like when Ling Xiao was cultivating earlier, Sun Feng and the Lu siblings were unable to break through the layer of invisible barrier outside Ling Xiao's body. That was the absolute defense formed by the 5 elements heaven sealing style, isolating the outside world from the outside world and forming an independent whole. Now, with Ling Xiao as the center, the heaven-supporting 5 elements style formed an absolute vacuum. It absorbed all dharma and energy, and even the physical strength of Sun Feng and the others. It was extremely overbearing. Of course, the heaven-sealing 5 elements style had to pay a terrible price. The heaven-devouring qi in Ling Xiao's body was almost exhausted. Only then could he resist the dharma of heaven and earth and maintain the absolute vacuum. Even so, Ling Xiao could not hold on for too long. Die! Ling Xiao did not dare to waste any time. His cold eyes fell on Hong Sha. His terrifying physical strength broke out, and he broke free from Hong Sha's restraint in an instant. Then, he punched Hong Sha. Crack! Golden lightning exploded. Hong Sha's bronze battle body could no longer withstand Ling Xiao's terrifying punch. Countless spider webs appeared instantly, and Hong Sha was about to explode. Puff! You can't kill me. I am the son of Hong Ba, the king of Hong Ancient. If you kill me, Hong Ba will not let you go. Hong Sha spat out a mouthful of blood as he sensed the threat of death. His eyes were filled with extreme fear as he spoke. Hongba's son. Illegitimate son. Even so, you have to die. Ling Xiao sneered and punched again. The golden fist was like a divine dragon. It instantly penetrated Hong Sha's body and smashed his heart into powder. Hong Sha's eyes were filled with disbelief and horror. He fell from the void instantly. Hong Sha, one of the 4 experts, was dead. Ling Xiao's gaze then landed on Lu Feng, Lu Yun, and Sun Feng. Their expressions changed drastically as well, and without a second thought, they leaped out of the absolute vacuum's range. You want to leave? A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Whether it was Sun Feng or the assassins from the underworld, they were all on his must-kill list, so they had to die. 5 elements seal the sky, shatter the vacuum. Ling Xiao let out an explosive bellow, pointing one hand to the sky and the other to the ground. The 5 elements' heavenly pillars in the surroundings instantly collapsed like 5 flood dragons sweeping across the sky. The absolute vacuum instantly shattered, engulfing Sun Feng and the Lu siblings. No, Sun Feng roared, unwilling to give up. There was a hint of fear in his eyes. He was instantly engulfed by the shattering storm and disappeared into the void. Just as Lu Feng and Lu Yun were about to escape the absolute vacuum, they were instantly pulled in by a powerful force and disappeared into the void as well. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook, and lightning flashed. Bathed in golden divine light, Ling Xiao slowly walked down from the void. His eyes were like lightning, incomparably majestic. No one dared to look at him directly. Everyone's eyes were filled with horror. Hong Sha, who had the bloodline bronze battle body, and 3 peerless experts at the 9th level of the supreme power realm, disappeared into the void just like that. Everyone felt as if they were in a dream. Originally, Ling Xiao was already in a life-or-death crisis. Who would have thought that at the critical moment, he would erupt with such terrifying power and kill the 4 experts in one fell swoop? Especially Chen Fengdao, who was trembling with fear at this moment. He lowered his head very low, fearing that Ling Xiao would notice him. At the same time, he felt extremely fortunate that he did not attack Ling Xiao. Otherwise, it would not be just the 4 of them who died, but also Chen Fengdao himself. His battle strength is actually so terrifying. Ji Shuiyao's beautiful eyes glowed, and her face was filled with shock. She had seen Ling Xiao's attack in the mustard seed array. Although she knew that Ling Xiao was very strong, it was not as shocking as what she saw now. The figure that was like a peerless god of war was forever imprinted in her heart. I knew that Ling Xiao would definitely win. Ha ha ha. This group of bastards who take advantage of others' difficulties should have died long ago. Li Qingfeng laughed heartily, his eyes filled with excitement. Ling Qingqing and Xia Hongxiu also looked at each other and smiled. They could see the relief in each other's eyes. After all, Sun Feng was a sky human realm expert, and he was quite famous in the 4 great ancient countries. However, in the 8 Desolation secret area, due to the restrictions of the seal, he could only exert the combat strength of a level 9 supreme power realm expert. Thus, he died in the hands of Ling Xiao. In the Yin-Yang Valley, the fog began to dissipate, and everything became clear. The Yin-Yang baleful qi in the Yin-Yang pool had been completely devoured by Ling Xiao. Most of the geniuses from the 4 great ancient countries had died in Ling Xiao's hands. Only the geniuses from the Great Desolation ancient country and the Great Mystery ancient country did not suffer many casualties. The remaining experts from the Great Desolation ancient country and the Great Desolation ancient country were scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao. Their eyes were filled with horror as they turned around and fled out of the Yin-Yang Valley. Kill! Kill all of them! Ji Shuiyao and Ling Qingqing said at the same time with a trace of baleful qi in their eyes. Li Qingfeng, Xia Hongxiu and the rest thought for a moment and understood. If they were to spread the news of what had happened in the 8 Desolation secret area, Ling Xiao would be in danger. One should know that the Great Desolation ancient country and the Great Desolation ancient country still had 2 sky human realm experts outside. If they knew that the geniuses from the two great ancient countries were almost completely wiped out, they would definitely go crazy. Apart from Ji Shuiyao, Ling Qingqing and Xia Hongxiu who stayed behind, Li Qingfeng volunteered to go with the people from the Great Mystery Ancient Country to kill the geniuses from the Great Desolation Ancient Country and the Great Desolation Ancient Country. Ling Zhao's gaze swept past Chen Fengdao and Tang Xian, causing their hearts to skip a beat. They looked at Ling Xiao and squeezed out a smile. However, that smile was even more painful than crying. However, Ling Xiao did not intend to take action. He shifted his gaze and looked at the location of the arrogant youth. Strange, where did Chen Fei go? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. The genius sent by the first prince was called Chen Fei. He was extremely arrogant and seemed to be unsociable. After entering the 8 Desolation secret area, he acted alone. It was only until Ling Xiao arrived at the Yin Yang Valley that he saw him. However, he had disappeared at this moment. Chapter 277. Rumble. Right at that moment, the Yin Yang pool started to boil. Black fog started to flow out of the clear pool, making it look extremely creepy. Ling Zhao's body shook as he understood the reason for his uneasiness. There was a creepy black fog in the Yin Yang pool. Oh no, get out of here! Ling Xiao shouted at Ji Shuiyao, Ling Qingqing, and Xia Hongxiu. His voice was filled with anxiety. Ji Shuiyao and the other two saw the changes in the Yin Yang pool and their expressions changed drastically. Ling Qingqing and Xia Hongxiu had seen the creepy black fog in the underground cave. Although they didn't know what it was, the creepy, evil, and terrifying aura from the black fog made their scalps go numb. It was as though they were afraid from the depths of their souls. Rumble. The creepy black fog surged in the Yin Yang pool, forming all sorts of ghostly faces and demonic shadows. The ominous aura that filled the air made the Yin Yang Valley look creepy. Furthermore, the creepy black fog seemed to have a life of its own as it rushed towards Ling Xiao and the others. You guys leave quickly. I'll block these damn things. Ling Zhao's expression was very serious. The golden light around him shone brightly, and the sky-devouring golden lotus appeared above his head. It swept towards the strange black fog, and in an instant, it devoured all the strange black fog that had rushed out of the Yin Yang pool. Be careful. Ji Shuiyao and the other two looked at Ling Xiao deeply. They knew that they would only be a burden to him if they stayed. Furthermore, Ling Xiao seemed to have a way to deal with the creepy black fog. Rumble. Right at that moment, the entire 8 desolate secret region started to rumble. Countless mountains shook and streaks of black lightning streaked across the sky. It was as though the sky was about to shatter as black fog spread out from it. Leave the 8 desolate secret region quickly. Ling Zhao's expression changed drastically as he used the sky-devouring secret skill to devour and refine the creepy black fog. The creepy black fog seemed to have sensed the aura of life. It surged from the depths of the earth, the mountains, and the sky and rushed towards Ling Xiao and the others. Ji Shuiyao and the others' eyes turned red when they saw Ling Xiao trying his best to block the black fog. However, they still turned around and dashed towards the exit of the Ba Huang secret region. As for Chen Fengdao and Tang Xian, they were unlucky. When the strange black fog appeared, the two of them were still in the Yinyang pond. Tang Xian instantly screamed as he was sucked into the black fog and disappeared without a trace. Chen Fengdao was scared out of his wits. How could he still care about Tang Xian? He hated that he didn't have an extra pair of legs and quickly fled outside. Rumble. The Yin-Yang pond suddenly split open and boundless black mist surged out from within. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Demonic chi surged into the sky, and it contained a terrifying fluctuation that caused one's entire body to tremble. Roar. A loud roar came from the depths of the ground, causing Ling Xiao to tremble. His blood and chi started to churn. This is the voice of that strange creature. Ling Xiao's eyes widened in shock as he finally understood. The bottom of the yin-yang pool was where the terrifying creature was sealed, not the 8 treasures lotus pond of virtue and virtue. Bright runes started to spread out from the 4 ancient stone walls of the yin-yang pond. They intertwined with each other and formed a huge sealing force. However, the sealing force was already very weak. As the strange black fog surged, the sealing force became weaker and weaker. Ling Xiao saw a black figure below the yin-yang pond. It was moving rapidly in all directions and constantly smashing the runes on the stone walls of the yin-yang pond. Damn it! Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold. He immediately recognized that the black figure was the person sent by the first prince. At this moment, his entire body was shrouded in a strange black fog. It was as if he had turned into a puppet and was madly destroying the seal. Boom! Ling Xiao gritted his teeth and dived into the yin-yang pond. The sky-devouring golden lotus floated above his head and turned into a huge golden whirlpool. It continuously devoured the strange black fog. As long as the strange black fog came within 3 feet of Ling Xiao, it would be instantly devoured by the sky-devouring golden lotus. Then, a large amount of the strange black fog would be refined by the wordless heavenly book. Ling Xiao didn't dare to use the wordless heavenly book recklessly. He could faintly feel that the wordless heavenly book was very important. It was very likely that it would alarm the terrifying creature underground. Therefore, he used the sky-devouring golden lotus as a medium to transfer all the strange black fog into the wordless heavenly book. The space within the yin-yang pond was unimaginably huge. Ling Xiao's entire body was shrouded in the strange black fog. It was pitch black and impossible to see clearly. However, Ling Xiao's mental strength was very strong. Therefore, he could easily see that Chen Fei was directly below the yin-yang pond and was still destroying the runes on the stone walls. You're courting death. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with killing intent. He immediately threw a punch. Countless strange black fog exploded as a huge fist aura pressed down on Chen Fei's head. Clang! Ling Xiao's punch seemed to have landed on metal, causing his arm to feel slightly numb. Meanwhile, Chen Fei's body flickered with black light. His face looked very ferocious, and a mysterious black light flickered in his eyes. Boom! Feeling Ling Xiao's attack, Chen Fei growled. His eyes were filled with ferocity. Demonic qi surged as he charged toward Ling Xiao. Clang! 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 Ling Xiao and Chen Fei exchanged a few blows. The strange black fog around them exploded, and the divine light was unparalleled. Chen Fei was like a metal man. He didn't know pain or fatigue. He even had a monstrous divine power. He was not at a disadvantage at all. This is the power given to him by the strange black fog. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He immediately felt that the strange black fog was flowing around Chen Fei's body, forming a mysterious cycle. It was as if some kind of power of law was providing him with endless power. After all, Chen Fei's cultivation was only at the first level of the Grandmaster realm. If it weren't for the strange black fog, he would have been blown up by Ling Xiao's punch. 5 elements sky sealing style, absolute vacuum. Ling Xiao formed a seal with his hands. A bright light suddenly shrouded Chen Fei. The power of the 5 elements flowed and stabilized the world. Suddenly, the strange black fog and the laws of heaven and earth around Chen Fei were completely extracted. Boom! Ling Xiao threw a punch. This time, the terrifying divine power on Chen Fei's body disappeared. His entire body was smashed into a fine powder. However, the strange thing was that there was not a single drop of blood on Chen Fei's body. Roar! Ling Xiao killed Chen Fei. It was as if he had angered an unknown existence. Suddenly, the earth began to tremble violently. Endless strange black fog spewed out from the ground and instantly shattered a small part of the seal runes around the yin-yang pool. Swoosh! Swoosh! The strange black fog condensed in the void and turned into a black war spear and a huge mountain-splitting axe. They emitted a monstrous killing intent and slashed toward Ling Xiao. The terrifying power made Ling Xiao's scalp tingle. This kind of power was far beyond the Grandmaster realm. Boom! Ling Xiao used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique and turned into a golden divine light. He instantly rushed out of the yin-yang pool. Chapter 278. Infinite Sword of Light and Darkness, Break. Ling Xiao did not dare to fight the two weapons with his bare fists. He took out the Evil Vanquisher Ancient Sword, which shone brightly in all directions. Ling Xiao struck out with his sword. The Evil Vanquisher Ancient Sword vibrated in the void and drew two circles. Suddenly, the black and white sword radiance intertwined and slashed towards the Black War Spear. Clang! Sparks flew and the black fog on the Black War Spear dissipated a little. The mountain-splitting axe struck down again. Clang! Ling Xiao blocked with the Evil Vanquisher Ancient Sword. Suddenly, an unparalleled force came from the mountain-splitting axe. The Evil Vanquisher Ancient Sword was split in half, leaving a long bloody mark on Ling Xiao's chest. Kill! After Ling Xiao was injured, he did not show any fear. Instead, a tinge of madness appeared in his eyes. He flew out of the Yin-Yang Valley and used the Vajra-subduing Demon Fist and the Infinite Sword of Light and Darkness to block the attacks of the Black War Spear and the mountain-splitting axe. When Ling Xiao was 1,000 feet away from the Yin-Yang pool, he could clearly feel that the power of the Black War Spear and the mountain-splitting axe had weakened significantly. Rumble! Ling Xiao clenched the Vajra fist print. His blood boiled and his fists were like dragons. He used his physical strength to fight against the two demonic weapons. The eerie black fog that tried to enter Ling Xiao's body was refined by the wordless heavenly book. Crack! In the end, Ling Xiao's physical strength exploded to the maximum. The void rumbled and the Black War Spear was broken by his fist. The broken black spear turned into a strange black fog. Before it could condense into a solid form, it was swallowed up by Ling Xiao. The other mountain-splitting axe was also broken by Ling Xiao and turned into nourishment for the wordless heavenly book. I can't stay here for long. Ling Xiao looked at the eerie black fog rising from the yin-yang pool with a solemn expression. If the eerie creature really appeared, he would not be able to resist it. Perhaps no one in the 8 Desolation region could resist it. He could imagine that the 8 Desolation region would be filled with blood. Just as Ling Xiao was about to rush out of the Yin-Yang Valley and leave the 8 Desolation secret region, the surrounding 4 mountains suddenly began to shake violently. Rumble! The sky shook and lightning flashed. The Yin-Yang Valley actually collapsed. Endless black fog surged and formed a black ocean. Meanwhile, the surrounding 4 mountains had also cracked open. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. All of them were shrouded in black demonic energy. Heaven, earth, water, earth, sun, moon, and stars. The place where yin and yang converge is actually the place where that strange creature is suppressed. However, at the same time, it is also the location of a node. I don't know when Chen Fei was controlled by the strange black fog, but he actually destroyed the yin-yang pool and caused such a change. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Looking at the strange black fog rising from the yin-yang pool in the distance, a look of understanding appeared in his eyes. The worst-case scenario that Ling Xiao was worried about did not happen. The 8 Baron Demon Suppression Great Array was still intact, and Ling Xiao had strengthened the seal. That strange creature could not leave the 8 Baron Mystery region, but it could come out from underground. At that time, the entire 8 Desolate Mystic Realm would be engulfed in a sea of devils, and Ling Xiao would be in trouble. This was because he felt an ice-cold aura locking onto him. Rumble! Monstrous demonic energy surged within Yin-Yang Valley while the strange black fog emanated ghastly wails and howls as it slowly dispersed towards the sides. An enormous demonic palm stretched out from within Yin-Yang Valley, and it caused the ground to tremble. Bang! 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 It sounded like the sound of a drum that shook the heavens and the earth. It carried a strange fluctuation that caused Ling Xiao's heartbeat to become slightly chaotic. Along with the appearance of the demonic palm, the strange black fog within Yin-Yang Valley started to seethe even more, and it seemed like it was cheering as it shook the surroundings. An enormous head slowly rose up from the ground, and its ferocious and monstrous aura caused even space to start to warp. A pair of blood-red moon-like eyes slowly opened, and then two terrifying rays of divine light shot towards Ling Xiao at an extremely swift speed. Rumble. Ling Xiao's expression changed. He only had time to utilize the 5 elements heaven seal technique to block it before he was instantly blasted over 300 m away. His internal organs roiled while a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Even if it's sealed, it's actually still able to erupt with a strength comparable to a monarch realm expert. It really is terrifying. There was a trace of a solemn expression in Ling Xiao's eyes. He noticed that he'd been targeted by that strange being, and he couldn't escape at all. Hand over the heavenly scripture, or die. A few icy cold and obscure syllables resounded. Even though only a head and an arm had been revealed, the terrifying aura it emanated made others feel like kneeling before it. It was the same being that Ling Xiao had encountered in the underground cave. It was completely enveloped by a strange black fog, and it was impossible to see what sort of monster it was. Has it taken a liking to the wordless heavenly scripture? Ling Xiao's heart sank. He hadn't expected that the strange being would take a liking to the wordless heavenly scripture in his possession. Moreover, it was determined to obtain it, and it didn't give Ling Xiao any chance to escape at all. It was probably because the strange being had taken a liking to the wordless heavenly scripture when Ling Xiao devoured the strange black fog in the underground cave. Moreover, Ling Xiao recalled the bronze divine hall he'd encountered in Beast Mountain Range. In the end, it was the wordless heavenly scripture that had drawn the attention of a certain terrifying existence. If it wasn't for the assistance of that mysterious existence within the bronze divine hall, then he would have probably died a long time ago. The wordless heavenly scripture was able to counter the strange black fog, and there seemed to be some sort of mysterious connection between the two of them. It caused the strange being to feel both fear and desire towards it. Ling Xiao felt the wordless heavenly scripture tremble, and it impatiently wanted to charge out from the center of Ling Xiao's forehead. It seemed as if it had encountered its prey, and it emanated an extremely excited fluctuation. However, Ling Xiao didn't allow the wordless heavenly scripture to emerge. He had a premonition that he might really lose this treasure if he allowed it to emerge. After all, no matter how formidable the wordless heavenly scripture was, it was still a treasure, and it depended on Ling Xiao's strength. He didn't feel that he could rely on the wordless heavenly scripture to annihilate the strange being before him. Ling Xiao's gaze turned serious as he looked at the strange being before him. His thoughts raced as he tried to think of a way to escape from the predicament before him. At this moment, the surrounding demonic aura surged violently, and a faint golden light sprinkled down from the void. Golden lotuses appeared in the void, and the heavenly flowers sprinkled down. A holy and auspicious aura swept across the sky. Let me obtain Buddha. All living beings in the 10 directions believe in bliss, and wish to give birth to my country, and even 10 thoughts. If I don't give birth, I won't attain enlightenment. A Sanskrit voice came from afar. It was loud and clear, and it was like a great bell that cleansed one's mind. It had the feeling of destroying one's inner demons and cleansing one's soul. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he saw a figure approaching from afar. It was an ancient monk wearing a kasaya. He stepped barefoot in the void, and every step he took created a lotus. His aura was clear and pure, and his entire body emitted boundless Buddhist light. He held prayer beads in his hand, and he chanted the name of Buddha as he walked towards Ling Xiao. The ancient monk's appearance was very strange. Starting from the center of his brows, half of his entire body was emitting golden light, and it was filled with a benevolent Buddhist nature. The other half was emitting demonic aura, and it contained the sin of falling into depravity and slaughter. He stepped on the void, but it gave people the illusion that heaven and earth were moving with him. Senior Demonic Buddha. Chapter 279. The demon Buddha exuded an ancient aura, as though he had experienced millions of years. Moreover, he was able to return from death to life, which had already surpassed the realm of Ling Xiao's previous life. Therefore, it was only right for Ling Xiao to address him as senior. Ling Xiao originally thought that the demon Buddha had left the 8 desolate secret region, but he did not expect him to come here. Could it have sensed the presence of this strange creature? Block my path for 10,000 years, die. The strange being let out a furious roar, his eyes cold and bloodthirsty. When he saw the demon Buddha, he seemed to be enraged. Ling Xiao guessed that the demon Buddha was the eye of the 8 desolate demon suppression array. Perhaps the strange being knew about it, or else he would not have said that he would block his path for 10,000 years. Boom! Demonic chi rose from the strange being's body, and the huge demonic palm slapped towards the demon Buddha. The demonic palm was thousands of feet in size, like a mountain, covering the sky and the sun, causing the void to tremble violently. The demon Buddha's expression was calm. Heavenly flowers fell from his body, and Buddhist light shone as he pointed at the demonic palm. Clang! Sparks flew in all directions. The demon Buddha's finger seemed to have pierced through the void, shattering countless mountain rocks, and landed on the demonic palm. It caused the void to tremble, and the sky began to tear. Swoosh! In the eyes of the strange being, a monstrous demonic light shot out. His body began to tremble violently, and the surrounding earth trembled. Even the 4 mountains began to shake. Ling Xiao could see that there was a divine chain of order on each of the 4 mountains. It traversed the void and locked the body of the strange being, preventing him from breaking free completely from the ground. A single palm was thousands of feet in size, and the height of the strange being was at least 10,000 feet, comparable to an immemorial sacred mountain. Such a terrifying aura burst out, like a huge wave of the heavenly river, sweeping in all directions, causing Ling Xiao to feel a suffocating pressure. The combat strength of a supreme being. This strange being is definitely a supreme being expert, and not an ordinary one. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of shock as he watched the battle between the demon Buddha and the strange being. Rumble. The demonic Buddha stepped on the void, creating a lotus with every step he took. There wasn't a trace of smoke or fire chi when he attacked. The Buddha's radiance was dazzling, illuminating the void. He and the huge demonic palm clashed a few times in the void. Large patches of the firmament were torn apart, revealing the terrifying turbulence of the void. Crack! Black lightning filled the air. The eyes of the strange creature were blazing with murderous intent. It spat out a giant black hammer with mysterious patterns on it and smashed it toward the demonic Buddha. As the giant hammer fell, there was a sudden burst of lightning. It was as if it could trigger the power of thunder between heaven and earth. Clang! The demonic Buddha's golden palm held up the sky and slapped on the giant hammer. Suddenly, the blazing lightning rolled back and shot toward the head of the strange creature. The black fog around the strange creature rolled and submerged the thunderbolt. Although the giant hammer was a little broken, it still exuded an unparalleled power. With a slight shake, the giant hammer revealed the figures of thousands of creatures, such as Pixiu, Thunder Dragon, Cheong Chi, and other ancient fierce beasts. They all pounced on the devil Buddha. Boom! The prayer beads in the demonic Buddha's palm floated in the void. There were a total of 108 Bodhi pearls. They emitted emerald green light like 108 small worlds that enveloped the sky. The Tao marks formed by the thousands of creatures instantly crashed into the Bodhi pearls and collided with the giant hammer. Monstrous light burst out. The demonic Buddha's palm slashed down. A flaming blade swept across the sky, containing a power that could cut through everything. The giant hammer rumbled. Countless runes on it exploded at the same time and swept out in all directions. Countless mountains, rocks, and ancient trees were turned into dust. Roar! The strange creature let out a furious roar. A giant demonic palm that contained immortal chi kept pressing down on the demonic Buddha. Above the void, large patches of the void were shattered. The battle between the demonic Buddha and the strange creature had almost shattered the entire Eight Desolations secret realm. Ling Xiao could see that the demonic Buddha's state wasn't stable. Although he could occasionally erupt with the strength of an exalt, it seemed like he had just awakened. His true cultivation should be at the monarch realm. Therefore, the strange creature was still able to fight the demonic Buddha to a draw even when it was sealed and only had a head and a demonic palm. It was obvious how terrifying the strange creature was. Rumble. The 4 mountain peaks began to rumble loudly. Countless mountain rocks rolled down and turned into dust in the battle between the two of them. As for the 4 divine chains of order, although they had sealed the strange creature, they showed signs of collapsing. Not good. If the strange creature escapes, the demonic Buddha will probably be in danger. A trace of worry appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. Rumble. Above the void, the 108 prayer beads turned into 108 small worlds, revolving slowly around the demonic Buddha. The demonic Buddha seemed to have an unparalleled divine power, constantly erupting with the combat strength of a supreme being. In the strange creature's eyes, 2 blood-red saber rays slashed across the sky, shattered the demonic Buddha's flaming saber, and slashed down towards his head. The void trembled slightly. The 2 saber rays were extremely terrifying. A trace of Buddha aura spread out from the demonic Buddha's originally confused eyes. In an instant, a golden lotus was condensed in his palm. It slowly rotated and collided with the 2 saber rays. Crack! The saber rays were shattered, but the golden lotus shot towards the strange creature's eyes at an even faster speed. Boom! The giant hammer floating in the void fell. Blazing lightning drowned the golden lotus and turned it into nothingness. Every move in the battle between the strange creature and the demonic Buddha was extremely dangerous. The sky shook and the void shattered. If it wasn't for the reinforcement of the divine chains of order, the 4 mountains in the surroundings would have been flattened a long time ago. Above the void, cracks were densely packed. Chaotic mist filled the air. Strange black mist rose along with blazing Buddha aura, causing the battle between the strange creature and the demonic Buddha to become even more intense. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed. He felt that the divine chains of order built on the 4 mountains had reached their limit. As the 4 mountains were constantly smashed, the endless energy began to be isolated by the strange creature's mysterious power. The 4 divine chains of order were on the verge of breaking. Once the divine chains of order were completely broken, the strange creature would be able to break free from the ground. When that time comes, would the demonic Buddha be able to withstand it? What should I do? Ling Xiao's gaze was solemn. A battle of this level was beyond the scope of his ability to intervene. Roar! The strange creature let out a loud roar, and its body suddenly leaped. Suddenly, a divine chain of order collapsed, and its huge head finally rushed out of the strange black fog, exuding a monstrous murderous aura. It looked like a lizard's head, full of black scales. It opened its bloody mouth, revealing sharp fangs, and a pair of blood-red moon-like eyes that contained a crazy power that could destroy everything. The strange black mist was the power in its body. It was like the Xiantian Gang Qi in a warrior's body, endlessly growing and multiplying. A strange ancient sword was inserted diagonally above the strange creature's huge head, exuding a mysterious light. It intertwined with the divine chains of order, forming a powerful formation to seal the strange creature. When Ling Xiao saw the ancient sword, his body trembled, and a trace of disbelief appeared in his eyes. Chapter 280. The ancient sword was dark gold in color. The body of the sword was wide but as thin as a cicada's wings. The runes on the body of the sword were engraved with the sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, and all living beings. It had a terrifying aura that seemed to encompass the heavens and destroy the universe. It was stabbed into the head of the strange creature. The divine chains of order on the sword intertwined. It seemed to have a mysterious connection with the entire Eight Desolations secret territory, suppressing the strange creature. When Ling Xiao saw the ancient sword, he felt as if he was connected to it by blood. His eyes were filled with excitement and emotion. "Old friend, I didn't expect to meet you here," Ling Xiao sighed softly. His powerful mental energy spread out and headed for the ancient sword. Wang! The ancient sword sensed Ling Xiao's mental strength and suddenly trembled. An unparalleled sword light burst out, containing a power that could destroy the heavens. It burst out with a brilliant light, emitting a trace of excitement and agitation. "Old friend. Sky-devouring sword. Come back." Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with joy as if he had seen his own child. He slowly stretched out his hand. Kacha! Thunder rumbled in the air as the ancient sword emitted a shocking sword hum. It was as if a mysterious world had appeared. The ancient sword's terrifying power was completely awakened. It blasted a huge hole in the head of the strange creature, and then it instantly broke through the air and flew over. A dazzling ray of light instantly fell into Ling Xiao's hand, forming a majestic and mysterious ancient sword that was overflowing with colorful lights. Boom! Ling Xiao felt a sense of connection with the sword. Instantly, he exuded an unparalleled aura. Golden light surrounded his body and a bright light lifted him up. At this moment, Ling Xiao's black hair flew in the wind. His eyes were filled with domineering and invincible confidence. At this moment, the sky-devouring supreme that shook the 9 heavens and 10 lands in Ling Xiao's previous life had returned. The sky-devouring sword was Ling Xiao's personal sword in Ling Xiao's previous life. It was a top-grade supreme weapon, comparable to the legendary divine weapons. It contained the power to devour the heavens and destroy the earth. It was just that in his previous life, when Ling Xiao became the #1 expert in the world, the heaven-devouring sword was left in the Changsun sect and became their sect-protecting treasure. In his previous life, when Ling Xiao and Supreme True Dragon explored the Scarlet Dragon War God's tomb, they did not bring the devouring sword with them. Otherwise, they would not have been so easily ambushed by Supreme True Dragon. In this life, Ling Xiao did not sense the aura of the devouring heaven sword in the longevity sect. Initially, he thought that the devouring heaven sword had been lost or destroyed. To think that he would see it here. In Ling Xiao's previous life, the devouring heaven sword had started out as a weak spiritual weapon. It had grown alongside Ling Xiao, constantly devouring natural treasures and evolving. In the end, it had become the world-shaking devouring heaven sword. To Ling Xiao, it was no longer a simple weapon. It was like an old friend. Old friend, 10,000 years have passed. Even you have suffered such heavy injuries. So much so that your true spirit was annihilated, and you can only rely on your spirituality to suppress the evil spirit. Looks like you are the hidden array core of the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation. Ling Xiao caressed the devouring heaven sword as he muttered to himself. He could feel that although the devouring heaven sword was still domineering and powerful, its weapon spirit had dissipated. All that was left was a sliver of indestructible spirituality. Moreover, the devouring heaven sword was stuck in the head of the strange creature. It was the hidden array core of the 8 Desolation Devil Suppression Grand Formation. Although so many years had passed and the devouring heaven sword was greatly damaged, the strange creature was still unable to escape. I guess it must be Jin Sei who kept you here. Ling Xiao sighed softly. There was a hint of confusion in his eyes. It was as if he had seen the peerless beauty smiling at him through the endless river of time. Roar! The devouring heaven sword returned to Ling Xiao's hand. In an instant, it exploded with terrifying power, causing great damage to the strange creature. The shocking sword essence almost pierced through the head of the strange creature. The strange creature roared. Its eyes were filled with bloodthirsty and frenzied killing intent. It stared at Ling Xiao and the devouring heaven sword in his hand. Moreover, taking advantage of the moment when the strange creature went berserk, the 108 Bodhi pearls of the demonic Buddha instantly pierced through the strange creature's demonic palm. A large hole was blasted open. Countless drops of black blood dripped down, turning into a surging strange black mist. Rumble. The strange creature was in pain and began to struggle violently. The surrounding heaven and earth shook violently. Huge mountains collapsed with a rumble. The last 3 divine chains binding the strange creature also shattered instantly. In the sky, cracks appeared one after another, filling the air with endless strange black mist. The mountains on the ground crumbled, and huge rivers flowed in reverse. A terrifying figure stood up from the depths of the earth and let out a roar that made one's blood boil. I, Mo Luo, am free. This world will be buried with me. Roar, the strange creature spat out an obscure syllable. Its blood-red eyes looked at Ling Xiao and the demonic Buddha. Its eyes were filled with monstrous hatred and killing intent. A terrifying baleful aura spread out, causing the surrounding heaven and earth to tremble violently. Mo Luo's aura rose violently, instantly surpassing the monarch realm and reaching the profound sovereign realm that could suppress the world. Moreover, there were 3 strange starlights flickering in its eyes. They contained a mysterious and dark aura. Ling Xiao looked at Mo Luo without a trace of panic in his eyes. Instead, a trace of powerful battle intent rose within him. With the devouring heaven sword in hand and sensing the power of the universal devil suppression formation, Ling Xiao could mobilize the power of the entire universal desolate secret realm. Old friend, follow me to conquer the world. Ling Xiao bellowed, and his aura instantly began to surge. Rumble. A tornado that swept through heaven and earth surged into Ling Xiao's body. His cultivation began to rise at a speed visible to the naked eye. First level of the Grandmaster Realm, second level of the Grandmaster Realm. 9th level of the Grandmaster Realm. Noble Realm. Monarch Realm, roar. A dragon's roar shook the heavens. Blood energy suffused Ling Xiao's body while a golden divine dragon coiled around him. The terrifying energy seemed to be on the verge of bursting Ling Xiao apart. In just a short moment, Ling Xiao's cultivation rose to the peak of the 9th level of the Monarch Realm. He was just a trace away from the Exalt Realm. It wasn't that the Universal Devil Suppression formation couldn't bring Ling Xiao to the Exalt Realm, it was that his physical strength had reached its limits. No matter how heaven-defying the secret technique of the ancestral dragon was, Ling Xiao had only cultivated the Earth Dragon physique. So, the 9th level of the Monarch Realm was his limit. Ling Xiao's body had even started to be covered in veins of blood. The terrifying energy wasn't his own after all. It was merely borrowed energy, so it seemed extremely violent. Ling Xiao felt like the entire world was within his grasp when he sensed the formidable energy. He'd become the heaven-devouring Exalt again and looked down upon the world. OM. The devouring heaven sword emanated a peerlessly sharp glow as well. Numerous rays of light shot through the air like divine chains of order, and they emanated an aura capable of devouring the world. Senior Demon Buddha, let's see who'll be the first to kill this fiend. Ling Xiao roared with laughter. His black hair fluttered while his gaze was dazzling. He seemed extremely carefree as he slashed the devouring heaven sword towards Mo Luo. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.